spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. The government, through the Ministries of Health, Education and Inspector General of Police, has slammed the statement by the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, terming it as erroneous and misleading to the public. Statements released by Cabinet Secretaries of Health Deborah Mulongo, her education counterpart Migos Ogamba and IG Douglas Kanja blamed the bishops for disregarding the significant progress made by the government on issues related to the Social Health Authority, University Education Funding Model, the CEBC, and investigations into extrajudicial killings and abductions in the country. CS Deborah dismissed claims by the KCCB of ministry's unwillingness to settle debt owed to the faith-based hospitals accrued under the defunct National Health Insurance Fund. She clarified that the government was committed to paying all debt accrued by NHIF through the newly launched SHA after the charge accused the government of failing to honor its promise to clear arrears amounting to billions. Education CS Ogamba, on his part, took issue with the clergy for criticizing the strides made by the competency-based curriculum following its inception in 2017 and the new university funding model, highlighting the progress made in both programs. Ogamba said the charge erred in its description of the two programs as crumbling, since the government had already made significant progress in the implementation of both programs by investing hugely in the same. And IG Kanja consequently faulted the charge for underlooking the work by the security agencies regarding abductions, torture, killings, and increasing murder of women in the country. The police boss underscored the status of investigations, listing that National Police Service had so far made 1,552 arrests countrywide in connection to the incidences and formed specialized missing persons unit and gender desks to address rising abductions and femicides respectively. The Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops called on the government to tackle immediate and decisive action to address the growing number of women murders in the country. In a joint statement read by the chairperson Maurice Mohatia, the bishops also voiced concern over the worrying trend of abductions and enforced disappearances across the country.
We are appalled by the blatant recurring incidents of reported abductions, disappearances, torture, and killings of Kenyans. We also decry the increasing murder of women. This has caused great consternation, anger, and disgust. Many families are still grappling with the loss of their children who were brutally killed, injured, or went missing following what is referred to as the Gen Z demonstrations.
The bishops also warned President William Ruto that Kenyans are losing trust in his administration due to what they described as a culture of lies.
We, the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, feel compelled to voice our grave concerns regarding the troubling political climate that has gripped our country. We have made clear statements many times in the recent past with very little response from the government. Despite the calmness we are experiencing, there is a lot of anxiety, and most people are losing trust in the government.
This comes as President Ruto prepares to address a joint session of Parliament Thursday next week, where he is expected to outline his accomplishments. And Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga led an ODM delegates meeting in Migori County to discuss party strategies and address local development priorities. Wanga called on ODM members to work together to strengthen the party's presence in the region and beyond.
Huyu msichana anaitwa ODM akianza kutembea kwa barabara, watu wanaangalia yeye, wanasema huyu ndio tunafall na yeye. That is what we want to do for our party. We want to make our party attractive to the people of Kenya so that we can prepare for the future.
The largest coral ever recorded has been found by scientists in the Southwest Pacific Ocean. The mega coral, which is a collection of many connected tiny creatures that together form one organism rather than a reef, could be more than 300 years old. It was found by a videographer working on a National Geographic ship visiting remote parts of the Pacific to see how it's been affected by climate change. Globally, coral is facing severe pressures as oceans warm and warm with climate change. And Harambee Stars coach Engin Firat says the boys are mentally prepared to smash Zimbabwe at the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers today. Firat says the boys will have a good chance should they align technically and physically. He insists that they'll do everything in their power to win. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people. And we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. And hii mambo utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
3, 2.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Heri Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalamia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
The baridi ni degree ngapi hapo?
Hata sijui lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy. You remember the kiss of Judas Iscariot? Iscariot.
Yes.
Is the one that imetuweka kwa hii mashida yote na mataabu kwa sababu of that kiss. Yet the slap of Jesus Christ when he slapped those guys wenye walikuwa wanauza mboga ndani ya kanisa took them to heaven.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you are sentenced, you are sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
All right.
Oh, okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No. It's about shipping up. You know my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the sheep in the bathtub? Or
the sheep man.
Emmanuel Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they've been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about the sheep or sheep goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can't run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
This is one of the hottest show that we can ever miss in the morning, and it's a show that really gives a real situation in the situation room.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you guys so much. Nduthai, nice meeting you. Even beautiful in person more than in photos.
Say that again. Character is like pregnancy. You cannot hide it. You know, people hiding here and there, you know, but after 2-3 months, 5 months, now you realize, so that is why the attitude that you were showing us, you're pregnant.
It's like what my grandmother would say. You cannot pickpocket a naked man.
How's that? It's communal, isn't it?
No comment.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Revenge is for children. It's for kids. When you grow up, you realize the best revenge you can take on somebody is to ignore them.
Now, I'm just new in politics. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That's why some people come in one term and that's it for them.
Political parties in this country do not have ideologies, whether luring or otherwise.
And that is the effect of corruption.
Any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it. Whether it's corruption, whether it's murder, whether it's petty, that is his job.
If we have chosen to be a corrupt nation, then we produce corrupt leaders. Everything then becomes chaotic that you cannot be able to change a nation.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. You know, that's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler?
Who's a hustler? Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence. You can't even
Windows
sleep inside.
up near the ceiling.
Yes. And if you walk there at midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
The things people will believe.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanya.
Amen. Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It gets over
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes.
What the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself.
When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, oh, you know, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom?
I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, you know, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. You know, that's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler?
Who's a hustler? Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence. You can't even
Windows
sleep inside.
up near the ceiling.
Yes. And if you walk there at midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
The things people will believe.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning. All right, let's take a look at what's happening as the skies have opened and the rain is coming down, and it's coming down in sheets from what we can see. So how does this affect traffic this Friday morning? Well, let's see. Not much coming off of most of the city streets. A little bit of traffic building on Landis as you get towards Kamkunji. And on the Thika Superhighway, not much actually. We're just seeing a smidgen of it as you head towards Pangani. But as you're coming off the Greater Thika Superhighway, nothing much. There is a little bit of traffic right around Kasarani as you come through towards the stadium. But apart from that, I don't think we're going to see anything that's going to clog anything, at least not for now. All right, so we're going to keep an eye on all of this, and we shall talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
What way is time going?
I don't know.
Surely.
Somebody's done something to the clock.
Surely. No sooner had Aseto finished reading the news than it was 17 minutes past 6. Why? Why? What is the rationale? Time waits for no man.
That's the spirit, my man. You've understood it perfectly. You have drawn it directly from my mouth.
But time goes with Aseto. Aseto left the studio and went with time.
Aseto is Aseto.
Surely.
We're talking about time, not Aseto time.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what has brought to mind. You remember there used to be a soap called Asepso.
Asepso. That one, antiseptic.
Yes.
Yes. Inatoa madoadoa.
Yote.
Yes.
It
was supposed to be many things, that's all.
Yeah.
Man, a good thing you remember that Asepso. I'd forgotten about it.
So, Dada.
Yes.
Tuanze na misa mkatoliki. So the bishops came out yesterday na wakakuja wakasema hivi ndivyo mambo yalivyo. Wengine wakasema tutakuja kujiosha.
My goodness.
Serikali kamua wape maji. Tutajinyunyisia maji sisi wenyewe. Tujioshe, tujitakate, tuwe weupe. Kama Bwana amekataa, tutafanya hiyo kazi peke yetu. Sinikubaya. Anyway, we shall talk about it. Senor, we know we are fine and we are already live streaming. So let's just go straight into our conversations for today, right? Basi. Today being Friday, what date? The
15th of November. You were at the 8th.
It's the 15th.
Yeah. Unless I'm alone here.
Today is the 15th.
Hello?
Okay.
Today is the 15th.
Can you guys see me?
Are you there?
I can see you.
Are you there?
Are you there?
Are you there?
So we're all together on the 15th.
Are you there?
You guys are not like Ethiopia.
Are you there?
7 days ago.
Yeah.
Huh?
Are you there?
Microscopic. See, I can see you.
Very good.
Making me think it's the 8th.
Very good. So today we are going to have several conversations. Let's start with what we shall do at 7 a.m. Today it's World Diabetes Day, and we shall be having a conversation around World Diabetes Day. We'll be joined by Dr. Isabel Makodual, who's a family physician, at 7 a.m. for the World Diabetes Day conversation. Shen. 8 o'clock. Health system reforms and femicides in Kenya. Can policy changes address gender inequality and violence? We'll be joined by Gathoniwa Mushoba, the MP for Githunguri and health education and promotion expert, who is also most likely the outgoing chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Implementation of the Constitution. Okay? And then at 9 o'clock, the role of parents in shaping teenagers' views on sex during the holiday break. Today is what date?
15th of November.
When does KCSE end? Next week?
Next week at the end of next week.
All right. Nicole Molly Abeka is a youth advocate for adolescent health and rights, and Hamisi Said Mwambodze is a parent and as an SGBV champion. Okay? So they will be with us at 9 a.m. for those conversations. So. Very good. So first of all, quickly, let's take a look at the weather forecast. And then we look at the headlines. Tukienda tukisonga kompigo. I never understand it when you... The Swahili radio stations. Kompigo.
What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay, it just sounds like nice.
Yeah, tukuja kompigo. Haya, it's 21 minutes after 6.
The weather with Spice FM.
Cloudy, rainy conditions in Nairobi, highs of 22 and lows of 15 today. And in Nakuru at 14 degrees, we will see a partly sunny conditions, highs of 22 and lows of 14. It's raining in Nyeri, 16 degrees, highs of 21. And we'll see highs of 23 in a partly cloudy Eldoret, currently at 15. Okay, looking into Mombasa, sunshine through Friday, highs of 31 and lows of 25, and we'll see highs of 31 and lows of 26 in a mostly sunny Malindi. It's clear at 20 in Kisumu, we'll see highs of 30 and highs of 27 in a clear Kakamega, currently at 16. 18 and cloudy in Kampala, highs of 27, while Dar es Salaam at 26 will be sunny, highs of 31. Johannesburg at 12 degrees sunny, highs of 23, and we'll see highs of 31 in a sunny Mogadishu, currently at 25. It's 8 degrees and the sun is peeking through those clouds in Addis Ababa, highs of 22 and lows of 7. Lagos is partly cloudy at 27 with highs of 32, and we'll see highs of 28 in a cloudy Kinshasa at 24. Friday afternoon is sunny in Beijing at 12 degrees, highs of 15, while Paris is cloudy at 9, we'll see highs of 11 and lows of 4, and London at 8 is cloudy with highs of 11 and lows of 5. We'll round things out in New York. Thursday night is cloudy at 6 degrees, coming into Friday, highs of 8 and lows of 4.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Watu ni wengi. Bonjour l'équipe de Spice FM. On attend un bon weekend. Michael Olande is in from Kigali and says, good morning to everybody. Excuse me. Looking forward to a good weekend, he says. Desmond Ortiz says, hi Spice crew. Ndu, I'm jobless. Can I be your bodyguard? I have the qualifications.
Can I be your bodyguard?
Okay, well, we can talk about that. We can have a discussion. Joe Mongai is watching from Washington. There comes a time when you hear a certain call, when the world must come together as one. Do you know that?
No.
Joe is also saying there comes a time when silence is betrayal. Okay, I'm Tata for President 2027. Sawa basi, umeshasema. Good morning, my people. Getting you from Nanyuki. This Nanyuki, I must go. In fact, I've decided.
You not been to Nanyuki?
No, I've just passed through. I want to go there and be there. I've decided next weekend, me and Nani. Nanyuki. Kiambachi Wamwage says, good morning. May the Lord have mercy upon our nation. I'm telling you. Robert Mbogo, good morning from Mombasa. Ricardo says, good morning. Kings and Queens. Princess Ndu, how are you? I am fine, thank you. Kitengela Iko locked. Peter Chemursoy, good morning all. Greetings from Iten, the home of champions. Kebiriko is tuning from Minneapolis and says, love you guys, keep up the good job. Thank you so much. Jack Atambo is here. Thueta, that's how you say that name, yeah? Thueta. Good morning to you. Dominic is here. My prince is also tuned in. Felix Bosire. Everybody is in the room this morning. Papa has a question for me to ask CT. I'll ask you that later. Tibbs Muga is here. Leo, we see you. Good morning. Rachel Wajiro, Nick Bala, George Okoth, Onganyi Malala, Sami Kyoko, Johnston Asava. Good morning, everybody. Can't get to everybody, but definitely we see you.
Very good, very good. CT.
Yes.
Is it final day of Proverbs from here?
Yes, it is final Proverbs. Final day of Proverbs from here. Here being Kenya.
Alrighty.
Right. Lisilo na budi hutendwa.
You sit what on a body?
That's the way to go about this thing.
I swear that's what I heard.
Yes, say what you heard.
What did you hear?
Not what I said.
You see on a body.
All right. Lisilo na budi utendwa.
That's what I said.
That is exactly what you said.
What do you think it means, Ndu?
And in technicolor.
Lusiwa.
Lisilo.
Nabudi.
Utendwa.
Good Lord. I don't know. Lusiwa. Sijui.
Lusiwa.
Lusiwe. Lucila. Sijui. Ay.
Jesus.
I don't know.
All right.
Help me.
Aya.
You know, they say one who asks for help is actually wise.
Whatever should be done has to be done. In translation, ile.
I've not seen done pronounced twice in that statement.
Kufanya nini? Kufanya?
Hajasema kufanya.
Kutenda.
Kufanya ni kutenda.
Yes.
Hutendwa.
Sawa.
Kubali tu.
It's okay.
Kubali yaishe.
Good.
Okay, let's look at the headlines.
On the front page of the Standard, because, you know, that's what we have. Avin, who, what? We don't know where the other papers are, but we're trying.
You can check, Lydiah has shared a screenshot for the nation.
Lydiah. I've seen somebody saying that I should give them Lydiah. Lydiah is mine. Nkem, in my language. Nkem, my own. I'm not giving them. Abi, I'm not giving them.
Sharing.
No,
sharing.
This one, sharing is not caring. I'm not giving them, so they should keep wishing. It's not going to happen. Bishops take on Ruto over killings and graft. Dun, 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 dun. Catholic bishops sharply criticize President Ruto's government, citing unexplained killings, abductions, rampant corruption, and a growing culture of deceit. They want the president to address critical issues, including chaotic new healthcare program, university funding mess, and confusion in the CBC rollout, amongst others. Where they came out with scathing attacks yesterday. Said, it's a what? It's enough. Parents under fire for aiding exam cheating. They said it's not possible that these children are doing these things on their own.
When?
Ngilu and Wambua clash. You know Wambua?
Senator for
Kitui County.
Ngilu is the former governor.
Ngilu is the former... No, Senator for Makueni County. Kitui County. And Ngilu is the former governor of Kitui County. Now they have done what? Cop Bank hits profits of 19 billion shillings. CTU, like that one? Now, I don't know which country they're talking about, but apparently the cabinet of that country... okay, I don't know which Kenya they're talking about, but the cabinet has said the economy has stabilized after measures that they have put in. So
figures don't lie, Ndu. Figures just like hips don't lie.
Hips lie. We just tell you now. They're lying to you. They tell you they don't lie.
Watu wameenda China sio? Wakona za kichina zile.
Kinini?
Tuendelee.
Why money won't win you custody of your child? Why money won't win you child custody? Money ain't everything. Proposed law to guide public participation. Today is that day where they were saying memoranda would have been filed by 5 p.m. today, etc., etc., etc. Whether that's going to happen or not, totally different story. Man denied job for being overqualified. They said, you that has more degrees than a thermometer, we can't give you the job.
You only get a job for which you're qualified. Okay? Yeah. So I do this one, the Daily Nation.
Yes.
In the Daily Nation today, outpatient crisis hits public hospitals, all right? You'll read the cabinet memorandum on what they say about the rollout of Shifa. Access to outpatient care at major public hospitals has become more difficult than ever due to the rigid implementation of SHA Act that discourages walk-in patients at level 4, 5, and 6. The sick are bearing the brunt at lower level hospitals where they are to access outpatient care, have a shortage of drugs, equipment, and staff. So you are supposed to go to primary health care and then you are referred to the level 4, 5, 6. Unasikia baba? Sasa lakini kule primary health care kule hakuna wanaitwa nani wauguzi hawapati. Crime, how estranged lovers last minute reunion led to horror murder. Oh my God, they have that story on page 12. And then Why Kupet now risks suffering same fate that brought Nat to its knees. The Teacher Service Commission has withheld millions of shillings due to the union in member fees since August, when the leadership called a national strike. The Teacher Service Commission is like, we are not sending that money. Mujue sisi ni nani? You're calling a strike. Calling a strike as who?
Strike. Come on, go and sit down.
Then the headline in the Daily Nation today, contrast, cabinet says economy on track with revenue collection doubling and food prices falling, while this is what the bishops are saying. It's lies and more taxes. Bishops blast Ruto's government. In a stinging statement yesterday, Catholic clergy took on the Kenya Kwanza administration of a myriad of grievances it blamed for Kenyans' continued suffering. Hey. Hiyo ni Daily Nation ile. Business Daily, 97% of state firms hide beneficiaries of tenders. System ya majambazi. IMF report shows low compliance with beneficial ownership disclosures rules. Government promises sanctions and planned changes to public procurement laws. Yada. Yesterday, CTU told us about Justice Lee Mudoga, who was launching his book. He did it last evening. Over lunch, retired Judge Lee Mudoga, in a red tie and suit, picks at his all protein and veggie lunch. It's a red-letter day for him, having just released his autobiography that chronicles a successful, long-spanning career and life. Drop in fuel use denies Treasury 5.63 billion shillings in levies. Interest on land rates default to be capped. Cooperative bank profit up 4.4%. Unit trust assets rise by 62.3 billion shillings. That is the Business Daily. In the People Daily, 13 travelers die in accident on Kisumu-Kakamega Highway. 13. Wow. Then celebrating 100 years of tea in Kenya. There was that event yesterday. How Al-Shabaab silences journalists in Kenya. They have that story as well. Then the main headline in the People Daily today. Catholics, Ruto must stop lying. That's the headline. Ruto must do what?
Stop lying.
Stop lying. Okay. Katika taifa leo.
Bless you.
Si tunatafuta star pale, sio?
Yeah, natafuta star utaipata sasa hivi.
Haya, katika taifa leo, muungano wa Uhuru, Gachagua, Kalonzo waendelea kusukwa. Wapanga kampeni kali ya kufifisha umaarufu wa chama cha UDA cha Rais William Ruto katika eneo la Mlima Kenya. So Uhuru, Gachagua, Kalonzo are reportedly shaking hands. Okay.
Right.
Mkutano wa Jubilee wazimwa. Simanzi 13 wakifariki ajali Kisumu. Biden, Trump wajadiliana White House. Okay, so Trump went back to the White House and told Biden, oh my God, what did you do with this color?
So we're going to have to start with renovations.
Jeez,
what did you do, Joe?
What colors? This such dull colors.
What colors are these?
And then, katikati mwa gazeti.
Bas.
Ni system ya
majambazi.
Yes. Lakini hawajasema hivyo.
Wamesema?
System ya maovu. They missed an opportunity. Maaskofu wa kanisa Katoliki wameikashifu serikali ya Rais William Ruto kwa kuendeleza kile walichotaja kama mwenendo wa kutoa kauli za uongo. Kama za uongo. Na matumizi ya vyombo vya dola kunyamazisha wakosoaji wake. Haya. Hiyo iko namna hiyo. Unapata ile kitu?
Sita.
Yes, tafadhali.
Right. My friend. Bishops lash out at Kenya Kwanza over failed pledges.
Bishop does what?
Tuache hapo. You ni bang in the middle.
Okay.
Anti-Gachagua MPs under fire in Mount Kenya. There was the Madeira MP Eric Wamumbi. He also faced protests from his people. Okay. There's an MP who had set up a bar in the rural area. Now, the manager squandered all his profits. So, the MP hapana iko na pesa.
Hapana iko?
Yeah, hapana iko. Auditor flags imminent loss of 2.5 billion at youth fund. Okay, Kenya's PWDs now live better, says new report. Okay, if you say so. Why court dismissed case challenging prime land link to Sonko? Okay, the story. God. Bishop accuses state of human rights abuses. There's a columnist by the name of Martin Mavenjina. Man, people have names. He says this thing was long overdue. Long overdue. IG Kanja to bishops, security heightened. Okay? All that is in the Star. And bang in the middle of the paper, bishops lash out at Kenya Kwanza over failed pledges. The Catholic bishops urged the Kenya Kwanza government to fulfill their promises to Kenyans. Full stop.
And the government responded.
Didn't they just?
From all quarters.
Yes, they did.
Before we go to the break, the Nairobian, today is Friday. Senor, city residents are being bombarded with noise as a toothless county government fails to bite.
Bite what?
Bite the noisemakers. But this one is a bit harsh. There's a guy, the chief officer in charge of, what's he in charge of? Goes around dealing with city noisemakers. Higher. African giant Burna Boy set to perform in Nairobi. Burna Boy.
You don't cuss. Last. Now everybody go chop breakfast. Shayo.
That's a song by this fella.
By Burna Boy.
Bad boy.
Burna Boy.
Burna
Boy.
Burna.
Yes. On page 40, they have a story about how male athletes are silently battling gender violence. All right. Bullying. Parents recall night of terror at Nakuru's Shiners Boys High School. Remember that story of a boy who was stabbed fatally and all. So they are talking out to the parents. In court, a woman loses 800,000 shillings in herbicide trade scam. Loneliness drives women into the arms of other men. Page 22.
Others apart from who?
Loneliness drives women into the arms of other men.
Apart from their own?
That's what we'd assume. Okay. In the middle of the Nairobian this week. Fatal attraction. Hashim Dagane, suspect in the murder of Deka Abdinur. This is about that murder of a woman, daughter, and niece from Isli, right? And there was a suspect who was arrested by the police and fingered to be the main suspect, Hashim Dagane, right? So now detectives have linked Dagane to the murder of Deka, whose body parts were found at the entrance of Langata Cemetery on October 31st. Deka and Dagane were secretly seeing each other despite the fact that the woman's family had allegedly disapproved of his advances towards the deceased. Obsession. Secret love affair ends in murder. So the story here is suggesting that there was an affair between the slain woman and the main murder suspect. And this relationship was even known by the family members of the woman. Twists, my friend. Twists. 22 minutes to 7. Let's take a quick break. Have you downloaded Tala? If you haven't downloaded Tala, please, let's just say, go to Play Store today. Google Play. Download Tala. You'll find Tala. Download. Sign up. A sign-up process is very, very easy. It's like 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, A, E. What else?
XYZ.
XYZ. Do, re, mi. Very good. All those things. It's as simple as that. You just sign up and then you are on your way to having a companion, a financial companion alongside you everywhere you are.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right, is it moving along this morning? Yes, it is. Though the rains are still coming down, heavy in some parts. We're not seeing too much with traffic this morning. We're going to take a quick look at the Thika Superhighway where we had seen some traffic starting to build up coming right around Kasarani. And we're still seeing that flow of traffic as you head out then towards Survey and then on towards Pangani, which now is just bumper to bumper with traffic. Outer Ring is not looking too bad. We're seeing some traffic coming on the Eastern Bypass. And that's building up as you get towards North Airport Road. It's going to continue for some time. Let's take a look coming off of Mombasa Road. Yes, the diversion was there early this morning and you're going to have to use the ICD route to get out towards Mombasa Road. But come around, dawn like this, they close rather and open it up for you to use it. Soon enough that work will be completed. Fingers crossed and knock on wood in the meantime. Langata Road looks good. The Southern Bypass, at least for now. That's how we have to say it because you never know what would happen as the day goes on. Let's keep eyes on what's happening. Where you are, talk to us, SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, so you want to know what the Catholic
bishops.
Catholic bishops.
Yes.
You want to know what they said yesterday?
Yes.
All right, let me tell you. Catholic bishops criticize Ruto over culture of lies, killings, and corruption. The subs say they urge the state to focus on pressing issues like education, healthcare, among others, and called on Kenyans not to applaud politicians' lies. You need to call them out when you hear them.
Yep.
The Catholic Church yesterday condemned President William Ruto's administration over unexplained killings, abductions, widespread corruption, and a growing culture of lies. In a pointed statement, the bishops, through the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, criticized the government for fostering an environment where citizens had become accustomed to the lies propagated by politicians. According to Bishop Dominic Kibnegich of the Eldoret Catholic Diocese, he read the statement and said Kenyans must learn not to applaud or validate the lies that politicians tell them, but rather must resolve to seek and be led by the truth.
Yes.
Corruption must... So they spoke at a press conference in Nairobi. They directed their frustrations at elected leaders, accusing them of heightened insensitivity and irresponsibility in their roles, and claiming that they had been captured and compromised in corrupt deals. They were not holding anything back yesterday. Corruption may not always involve financial gain, but can also mean the unjust use of position and authority or abuse of office. The massive greed we are witnessing is shocking and heartbreaking, according to the KCC chairperson Maurice Muhatia. He noted that Kenyan legislators are amongst the highest paid in the world. The bishops also decried the incidents of killings, abductions, and disappearances, particularly the murder of women. This has caused great consternation, anger, and disgust. Many families are still grappling with the loss of their children who were brutally killed, injured, or went missing following Gen Z demonstrations in June. Who is abducting these people? And is the government unable to stop these abductions and killings? The government must protect the life of every person, human person in Kenya. It must uphold the law which its leaders swore to protect. They brought up issues of concern. They talked about unrealistic taxation, accusing the Ruto administration of reintroducing the rejected Finance Bill 2024 through a constant stream of new taxes. They said it seems it's a hidden way of bringing back the rejected Finance Bill. They raised concerns about political infighting within the government, which they claimed has heightened tensions and deepened divisions among Kenyans, creating an environment of mistrust, both among citizens and within the government itself. They said, basically, anything that could go wrong with this government is going wrong. And you cannot sit and watch as it goes down the tunnel.
And their statement was very clearly structured. It had issues of concerns. We, the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, feel compelled to voice our grave concerns regarding the troubling political climate that has gripped our country. We have made clear statements many times in the recent past, with very little response from the government. Despite the calmness we are experiencing, there's a lot of anxiety, and most people are losing trust in the government. And then they go ahead to start listing the issues. One, political wrangles. They're saying there are political wrangles within government, with, of course, the recent impeachment. Second, corruption and politics of self-interest. The elected leaders are mandated to fulfill roles conferred to them by the Constitution, but corruption may not always involve financial benefits, like you've said, but the unjust use of position and authority. They go ahead, violation of human rights and freedom of speech, culture of lies, NHIF, unkept promises and misplaced priorities, selfish agenda to extend the term of elected leaders, overtaxing Kenyans. Conclusion: we thank God for holding our country together despite the political and social upheaval. We pray that our leaders, guided by the values of justice, mercy, humility, selflessness, and honesty, provide good leadership and governance for our nation in accordance with God's will. Then they say we invite all Kenyans to prayer. What did the government do? The government responded in many ways. First of all, the issue of there's a bill being hurried through Parliament. They came out and said, which bill? Which bill? That bill collapsed in the Senate. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Even Senator Cherargei himself came out with a statement and said, the bishop should stop being peddlers of lies and untruths. I am myself a staunch Catholic. And I cannot lie.
Did you expect that any legislator or member of parliament, when attacked in that manner, whether it was subtle or outright or overt, did you expect anybody to actually say, you know, you're right, Askofu, you're actually right. We have gone against what? Do you expect anybody to say that?
So the response that came, for example, for this one, the Cherargei bill, right, was the bishops are saying that it is being hurriedly taken through Parliament. But the response was, actually, it has collapsed in Parliament. It is not being hurriedly taken through. But then the question would be, at what point did Cherargei propose this bill? Were there other bills on the queue? Did this bill jump the queue?
Why did it take focus?
Yeah, did this bill jump the queue? Are there other bills that are still pending in terms of like starting the process? Or are they not? That's what Cherargei will be saying. Actually, I presented this bill in last year, November. It went through the process. There were other bills ahead of mine. It went through due process. Unless you respond to that, then there's an issue to raise. Okay, on the matter of health, the Minister for Health, Madam Dr. Deborah Barasa, released a statement. The government takes great exception to the misleading, erroneous and false statement issued by the Catholic bishops on obligations owed by the government through the defunct NHIF. They took the issue of these Catholic bishops are saying that the hospitals are owed money. Huh? No, come on. As of the 4th of October, the defunct NHIF owed 19 billion shillings to various healthcare providers, debts accrued over a period of more than 10 years. Okay? But the government is paying this money. In fact, the last 1 month, 7.5 billion shillings was mobilized to pay these debts. So far, the Social Health Authority has disbursed 5 billion to various providers, including 938 to health facilities owned by faith-based organizations, majority of which are Catholic Church-run institutions. Okay? We have paid almost 1 billion shillings to Catholic hospitals. We are not paying. We owe 19 billion shillings. We've paid 7.5. That is less than half, but it's good enough.
19 billion and then you paid 7.5.
Yeah.
Money over 10 years.
Yeah, but it's worth noting. It's worth noting that NHIF had contracts with 8,886 facilities, which are public, private, and faith-based. 312 of these facilities are owned by faith-based organizations, only 3.5% of contracted providers.
So I ask again, where is the lie that the Catholic bishops are supposedly here?
You're making it sound like, you Catholic people run the health system in this country. It's only 3.5%, by the way. Let's just be clear, okay? Okay? Msiongee sana kama nyinyi ndio serikali hapa Kenya. Let's also get it clear. The government through SHA will disburse the remaining 2.5 billion shillings by next week. The remaining 2.5 billion.
The remaining from what?
19. If you take away 7.
Let me read this statement again. I think I need
12.
Wait. Let me come back. Have your calculator ready.
It's right.
Dr. Barasa's statement is in point form. Okay? Point number 1 is where she's saying these are false, malicious, erroneous, blah, blah, blah. Point number 2 is where she says, as of the 4th, the defunct NHIF owed 19 billion shillings to various healthcare providers. 19B. Point number 3, the government is fully committed to settle these historical debts, and consequently, in the last 1 month, 7.58 billion was mobilized to pay these debts.
Was mobilized or actually paid?
Was mobilized to pay.
Jamani.
Goja.
Okay, sorry.
All right? Let us count.
Minus 7 points.
Goja usiende minus kwanza. Wacha tuone kama hii minus ni inatoshana na hii kwanza. So far, SHA has disbursed 5 billion, 51 million, so 5.05 billion has been disbursed 19? To various providers.
You know, it's a minus. Minus 5.5.
5.05.
Oh, sorry, please.
So, tell me how you understand this English. The government, in the last 1 month, 7.58 was mobilized to pay these debts. Was mobilized. So far, SHA has disbursed 5.05 billion to pay various providers, which includes 938 million to Catholic Church facilities.
So, of the money that was mobilized, they only spent 5.05 of it. Sasa sijui where
Sasa ndio
2.8
tuko pamoja. Sasa tuko, umeona sasa hiyo point?
Yeah.
So far, out of 19 billion, 5.5 has been disbursed.
Exactly.
City, 19 minus 5.5.
13.95 billion.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Point number 4 ni ya kuchapa watu kuambia you are only 3.5%. Shut
Get
up.
out.
Sit at the corner there. Point number 5. The government through SHA will disburse the remaining 2.5 billion by next week.
Of the 7 that was mobilized.
Clearly, right? And is committed to progressively clearing all unpaid NHIF claims. Additionally, SHA is currently reconciling new claims submitted by providers in October and November under Social Health Insurance Fund, and the ministry assures all providers that these claims will be paid on time. All right, so let's see. 19.5 billion outstanding debt. Okay? Serikali imecommit itatafuta 7.5. Imepata 5.05. Imelipa 5.05. 19 minus 5.05 umesema ni 13?
Actually, it is 19.5 minus 5.05. Sasa ile pesa umebaki ni 14.45 is the money they have left to pay.
Okay. Hii wiki
Watalipa 2.85.
by next week 2.5 billion and 2.5 billion toa.
Minus 2.5 billion minus 2.5.
Tuseme, let's fast track ourselves to next week.
Oh, now we're next week.
Yes.
You know the way I was asking, can you see me? Today is 15th. So now can you see me? It's
Now we are next week.
22nd.
Yes.
The 22th, 11.95 ndio itabaki.
All right. So let us go back to statement number 1. The government takes great exception to the misleading, erroneous, and false statement issued by the Catholic Church bishops on obligations owed by the government through the defunct NHIF.
So where's the lie?
The great exception.
Why are you taking great exception to the truth?
Maybe it is in what the Catholic bishops have said about what? Chef. Did they put a figure? These bishops, they did not put a figure.
Then they just said people have not been paid. Hospitals have not been paid.
They
It's not a
said
lie.
when the government fails to fulfill its promises, particularly concerning payments to essential service providers, it harms vulnerable communities. This is the case with NHIF. The neglect of faith-based organization hospitals, now owed billions in dues, is an issue that we have addressed constantly, even with the president. Where is the false, erroneous, blah, blah, blah in that?
Where is it? What are you taking great exception to? There's nothing that has been said. You yourself go on to say...
We actually owe you
we
19
them
billion
money.
shillions. And by the end of this month, we'll still be owing you 11 billion shillings.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you understanding?
Haya, hiyo ni Catholic Bishop pia walisema mambo ya disappearances of people. The National Police Service, through the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, has responded and said the attention of the National Police Service is drawn to a statement issued on November 14th by the Catholic bishops who raised concern about abduction, torture, killings, and increased murder of women in the country. Consequently, the National Police Service would like to update the country on the security situation in the country and status of our investigations into the reported cases as follows. Number 1. Following the demonstrations witnessed in the country from June to July against the proposed finance bill, our country suffered massive losses. NPS recorded 495 injuries, 347 injuries to civilians, 495 were to police officers. There were more police officers injured than civilians. Let us just first of all be clear. 495 injuries to police officers, 347 injuries to civilians. Okay? 42 civilian fatalities. 69 cases of serious damage to government vehicles.
Could you pause for a second there, please?
42 people died, according to the police.
People, did that include policemen and women?
Civilian fatalities.
And how many policemen died?
None.
Carry on.
In addition, there were 57 reported cases of missing persons, 57.
Were any of them policemen?
Of which 22 were found alive, 6 found dead, 29 are still unaccounted for, and serious efforts by police are underway to trace them.
But they said they don't know.
During the protest, NPS made 1,552 arrests countrywide. Let's talk about femicide. In response to the current prevalent murder of women witnessed in the country, we have recorded 97 deaths in the past 3 months. In most of these cases, we have effectively investigated, identified the culprits, and arraigned them before court. Out of these 97 cases, in a majority of them, we have suspects in court already. Why? A specialized missing persons unit has also been established at DCI to deal with cases of that nature. Gender desks at public stations nationwide are on high alert. So hii mambo ingine mnasema ati people have disappeared. Those are, we take great exception. There is an issue of CBC education, rollouts. The Catholic bishops stand there and they say, we see, this is what the Catholic bishop said about schools, okay? Because, Catholic bishops are not in this country. They just don't get it.
They live on Pluto.
CBC. We recall other pertinent unresolved issues that we have raised recently with the government of a taxation of Kenyans, the hiking of the missionary work permits, youth unemployment, regulations of the education system, especially the CBC, and university loan scheme, the failure to constitute the IBC, etc. Right? So the bishop said, these are issues, CBC. Ministry of Education came out to say, there's no issue, buana. What are you talking about? The CS for Education, Julius Migoso Gamba, released a statement yesterday. And this is what Julia said. Competency-based curriculum. The rollout of CBC began in 2017. Now, point number B, the merits of CBC in structure have been subjected to extensive public participation and stakeholder. Point number 3, learning areas have been rationalized. The government is providing capitation for junior school learners at the rate of 15,000 shillings per learner per year. Ngoja, tuendelee. At present, we are preparing grade 9s, the final year of junior school. This follows 2 successful transitions across grade 7 and 8.
2 what transition?
2 successful transitions across 7 and 8. Both grade 7 and 8 were provided with core textbooks at the ratio of 1 book per learner. The distribution of textbooks for grade 9 started last month. In the terms of infrastructure, the construction of the 16,000 classrooms required for grade 9 is at an advanced stage. The government has allocated 17.6 billion for the completion of these classrooms by December. December is how many days from today?
14.
The construction is decentralized to the schools, thereby creating economic opportunities to the grassroots. We have also employed 56,000 teachers. 46,000 interns will be employed permanently. And a further 20,000 teachers are being recruited as we speak. And they'll be in place by January.
Which ones? The ones that Nancy Macharia said you people want?
20,000 teachers are being recruited and they will be in place by January 2025. You Catholic bishops, you don't live in Kenya, please.
Can't see capitation is being sent to
come
schools,
and visit this country.
Leave alone that it's supposed to be 22k, but it's 15k and it's going to schools.
Even classrooms by December. How many junior secondary schools do we have? Why do we have this round figure of 16,000? Is it really possible that we have 16,000 flat schools in the country?
not
16,225. No, 16,000
flat.
And we are at an advanced stage of having them complete
by December
in the next 10 days. Like how many? And teachers by January.
Inside
an extra 20,000. We have taken the whole hour on this one.
This is 2nd January in 1 year.
Let's just say hii country iko mambo mengi. But if you don't believe it, come visit Kenya at 7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Streamline government's performance and stop making false promises. Instead, prioritize issues affecting Kenyans. This is the message of Catholic Bishops' Conference, which described the government operations and statements as being full of lies, corrupt, and failure to fulfill promises made during the campaign, as well as failing to address important issues that should be prioritized. Led by Archbishop Maurice Mohati of Kisumu, the bishops accused political leaders of turning a blind eye to issues that affect Kenyans, including tax hikes, unemployment, gaps in the implementation of the CBC education curriculum, as well as the challenges that Kenyans face when seeking medical services through SHIF.
We are appealing to the government to move the speed and reimburse the money spent and which are due from NHIF and now SHIF or SHA, whichever case it may be. The hospitals are crippled. They cannot serve our people.
We recall the pertinent and resolved issues we have raised recently with the government over taxation of Kenyans, the hiking of the missionary work permits, youth unemployment, regulations of the education system, especially the CBC and university loan scheme. This culture of lies, unkept promises, and misplaced priorities is unacceptable and needs to be dealt with.
They accused the government of not doing enough to ensure that REBC is in place almost 3 years after the elections. Now, Bishop Dominic Kimengich of the Eldoret Diocese criticized the political class for prioritizing personal interest over Kenyans.
The political wrangles in the government have generated unwanted tensions and deepened divisions among our people.
It is baffling that a bill proposing an extension of the 5-year term to 7 years is being considered, and apparently there are plans to rush it through the legislative system. We need to critically scrutinize this political move.
They also asked the government to address the increasing abduction cases in the country. They urged Kenyans to unite and pray for the country, saying the country is currently going through a difficult time due to a leadership that does not care about them.
Who is abducting these people? And is the government unable to stop these abductions and killings? The hospitals are crippled. They cannot serve our people, especially the most needy, because of this serious anomaly.
Now, Kenya Party leader Banter has called on President William Ruto to abolish the new university funding model and revert to the previous system of financing higher education. Speaking at a media briefing at the party's headquarters in Nairobi, Karua accused Ruto's administration of mismanaging the education sector, which she claimed is on the brink of collapse. Karua highlighted the challenges facing early childhood education across the country, citing lack of infrastructure and adequately trained teachers.
Without providing the basics for university, which is accommodation, tuition, and meals, you have not given access to the poor, because any one of those three can make them drop out. Without providing the capitation for secondary, most students will be out.
What results is the country harvesting from the 2 years of their government? An inept hodgepodge of half-baked reform measures, an intelligent imposition of reforms without supporting infrastructure, personnel and resources, a vengeful rebuttal of evident failure, an attempt to use blackmail and brinkmanship to confront those telling them their efforts are more hurtful than the problem they set out to resolve.
She also emphasized that unresolved issues surrounding teacher recruitment continue to affect secondary education.
There will be very serious and enduring consequences soon. There must be a convergence, the grievances by the students, by the academic and non-teaching staff, by the management, by parents.
This country actually has been known on the continent as one of the countries with a very robust educational system. So if measures are taken to dilute that, it means that even on the African continent, we are lowering our esteem.
We should now be aiming to freeing education from kindergarten, that is ECD, to university level. Instead, Ruto and his administration have behaved the way locusts behave when they descend on greenery. They consume everything and leave nothing.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
All right, here we are with rain still coming down in several parts of the city this morning. Taking a look at traffic and what's happening with that. We saw some movement on the Thika Superhighway, and we're still seeing that traffic then coming in from Kasarani out towards is flowing without a problem. It is, however, busy, bumper to bumper, right around Survey through towards the Pangani Underpass, and also traffic on Kiambu Road has begun in earnest right now. Magadi Road, as happens on Friday, for some reason, traffic is already starting to build as you get towards the Langata Road junction. We're going to keep an eye on the Southern Bypass today and hope things flow without an issue. Outer Ring is not looking too bad, but Kangunda Road is busy as you come out towards Outer Ring, coming off the Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital junction. All right, we'll keep an eye on things this morning. The Eastern Bypass is already piling up and bumper to bumper through the Embakasi Loop out towards the Cabanas interchange. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 after 7, thank you very much for keeping it locked. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, broadcasting on SpiceFM, on KTN, on YouTube and Facebook. YouTube, KTN, YouTube, SpiceFM, Facebook, TikTok, X. We're also on Instagram. We're also on Radio Garden. We are everywhere on SpiceFM. It's across the country. Everywhere we are. This Friday, Karibu Sana to Kenya's biggest conversation. We are bang in the middle of the month. Right there. It's the 15th of November. And Ndu, when you talk about, being bang in the middle of the month and the month coming to an end, when people think about end month, they think about incomes.
Yes.
Okay? But you should not just be thinking about incomes. You should be thinking about wealth.
Exactly.
It's not just about money coming in. It's about money growing.
Yes,
and not
it
moving away from cash into wealth.
And growing it. So imagine an opportunity for you to take control of that. That you haven't really been thinking about it. You just, in fact, you think it. All these years I've just been spending. Then you look behind and there's nothing. But then you think about, okay, here's that end month, and it comes 12 months in a year when all things are balanced. So you tell yourself, okay, how can we take what we get and actually grow it? How can you take control of it and make sure that it becomes something that you can depend on in the future? That is when our good friends at Standard Chartered Priority Banking step in and they say, you know what, guys, let's help you do this. How can you take a little bit of what you have periodically and put it somewhere that is actually going to grow for you, and you can actually take control of that? So what you do, you sit down and you have a tete-a-tete with the folks at Priority Banking, and they say, okay, this is what you can do. You want to grow your wealth in foreign currency? You want to store it in USD? You want to store it in euros? You want to keep it in Kenyan shillings? What exactly do you want to do? It's about sitting down and having a conversation and actually taking control of your wealth. There are many things that you can do. There is the wealth framework, the wealth select framework actually, that you can get into, and it's a trusted advisor who will sit with you and look at all the details of what you're into and say, okay, this is what we can actually do for you. So if you're ready to start growing your wealth and forming a lasting legacy, you need to talk to the folks at Standard Chartered Priority Banking. That's Priority Banking at sc.ke@sc.com, and begin your journey towards securing a future of financial freedom and prosperity.
And if you
want to prosper, Abby?
Yes, and if you for a very small second think that these people may not know what they're talking about, they have 110 years of expertise.
In 50 unique markets around the world.
But just ponder over that for a second, even as you listen to what it is that they can do for you.
So they've been around the block.
A couple of times, actually.
Imagine. And when it comes to this market called Kenya, they are the only global bank operating in Kenya.
Global means the entire planet, just in case someone didn't understand it. Yes. Not continent of Africa. Global as in a world.
Not your world. The actual world.
The actual world.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're my world.
No, not that.
No. It shouldn't be you're my planet.
You're my stand chat.
You're my stand chat. So it's prioritybanking.ke@sc.com.
Okay. So yesterday, the 14th of November, the world marked World Diabetes Day. All right. And today in our Health Friday conversation, we want to highlight matters of diabetes. And we're joined by a family physician, Dr. Isabel Makadwal. Daktari, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Karibu sana to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Asante sana.
So you'll tell us about the World Diabetes Day.
Okay.
Why it's marked on the 14th? Why not 15th or 13th? Why not last month or next year? Well, next month. Yeah? You have no idea?
Yeah.
You haven't get to that point yet.
That's it.
Tuta Google, tutasema, itatuambia. World Diabetes Day is the primary global awareness campaign focusing on diabetes and is held on the 14th of November each year, led by the International Diabetes Federation. And each World Diabetes Day focuses on a theme related to diabetes. Type 2 is largely preventable, non-communicable. Type 1 is not preventable. And that's what you're here to teach us all about, right?
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Siti is going to give you today's proverb. And this week he's been in one East African country. Which one?
We are in the Republic of Kenya.
Wow.
Yes, and the proverbs are in a language you may be familiar with. It's called Kiswahili. Okay?
Yes.
Now, the proverb, what we'll want you to assist us with is try and give us what you think is the English translation of the proverb, and then tell us what you think the proverb actually means. Okay? Lisilo na budi hutendwa.
Lisilo na budi hutendwa.
I'll try and give a translation as
please.
you've asked.
Yes.
Whatever has no
Bood.
has no intention is done. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. It does. We say you've transliterated it. Now, translate it.
To say what it means now?
Yes, please.
Lisilo na budi hutendwa.
Don't overthink it. Just say, because you do know what you're saying. So please say it.
Whatever you plan to do or need to do, you will eventually do it.
Dude say voila.
C'est ça.
Absolutely correct.
Thank you.
Yes. You know, the Swahili classes people have in school. Daktari attended them.
She did, eh?
She attended them.
Very good. And you did well in Swahili, didn't you?
I tried in primary school, though. Yes.
Which Ngelis did you do? Did you do Ngeli of Mua or the new Ngeli?
The new Ngelis are quite tough. I struggle with them with my children.
Why did the Ngelis change?
You're asking me?
You are the teacher.
Have you forgotten where I come from?
But you're a teacher. And you taught Swahili at some point.
Bro.
In Mombasa.
There are a few. Zamani bwana. Zamani.
Yeah, what?
It used to be Ngeli of Mwa. Now it's Ngeli of Awa. What on earth?
Those are classes.
What?
Ngeli Ajima became
class and what have you. Even I, who taught it, had problems understanding it.
So
just so that you understand.
Total different stratosphere.
Yes.
Completely.
Okay.
Completely. It is wachana nayo. Mambo ya. Yo wachana nayo. Tuache tu. So, World Diabetes Day, and it's marked globally, right? First of all, what is diabetes? Okay. Wacha mimi nakuanga na sukari.
Na sasa sukari imeshuka.
My first experience with diabetes, it's in functions, and there'd be people who say, mimi nakuanga na sukari, so sikunywangi sukari.
Niko nayo ya kutosha.
Nipikia nylon. So what is it?
So diabetes is a metabolic disorder that leads to elevation of blood sugar, And there are two types of diabetes. There is type 1 and type 2. So type 1 is found in the younger people, and in type 1, it's as a result of autoimmune. That means your own body is causing destruction to the pancreas, therefore leading to absolute deficiency of insulin, as opposed to type 2, where you produce insulin but it's in insufficient quantities, or your body is not responding to the insulin that you are producing. So there's some sort of resistance to the insulin that is being produced. So that's the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes.
What's the importance of insulin?
So thank you. So insulin is produced by an organ called the pancreas. So insulin, once you have a meal, your sugar levels go up. So insulin is what is responsible for driving the sugar into the body, the cells, into a form so that it's able to consume it so that you can get energy. So that is the purpose of insulin. So if you do not have enough insulin, it means most of your sugar still stays into circulation, and so it goes to quite high levels.
Okay. So when there's a high levels of insulin in your body, that's diabetes.
A high level of sugar. Yes.
In the body.
Yes. Because insulin is what is supposed to drive the sugar into the cells so that the cells can get energy and consume it. So if your pancreas, which is not functional for whatever reason, you produce less insulin, so less of the sugar that you have accumulated after a meal gets absorbed. Yes. So the sugar levels are continuously elevated. Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're never looking at a situation, Terry, where there's an overproduction of insulin. Usually with diabetes, we're saying there is underproduction of insulin.
Yes.
So there's not enough insulin to get this sugar to go into where it's supposed to go.
Exactly.
So essentially, what are we saying that what happens now is that when you eat a meal that whether it's high sugar, low sugar, or whatever it is, the sugar is just now hanging around.
Yes. There's nothing really to drive the sugar into the body.
Okay.
So the sugar is staying at a sustained level within the blood.
Okay.
So, and that is why it causes damage.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, in type 2,
what
stops the insulin then from being produced? Because it's type 2, and we've heard that it's now type 2 diabetes is lifestyle.
Yes.
More or less, isn't it? Maybe we
yes.
can go into that later.
Okay.
But that means at some point, the pancreas and the insulin connection was doing what it was supposed to do. So what then inhibits that later on? Why would the pancreas decide, okay, well, I'm not doing this anymore?
Okay.
What happens?
So that's a good question. So in type 2, as I've said, there is some insulin production, but it is not commensurate to the body's needs. So it is still there, but it's minimal. Number 2, you can also be producing enough insulin, but your body has resistance to absorbing it. And things that would cause insulin resistance are things like obesity, because a lot of fat production, lack of exercise, sedentary lifestyle, and then also some things that cause secondary or what you call type 2 diabetes are some medications can also lead to that. Then there are also other conditions like gestational diabetes, where mothers develop diabetes during pregnancy. So you see, before pregnancy, they were producing insulin well enough, but now during pregnancy, the demand is higher, so they tend to have less production, of insulin, so less sugar goes into the body. So now in the secondary type is now it comes into the issues of lifestyle. People are not exercising enough, so there's resistance to absorption. There are hormonal things like what we call polycystic ovarian disease, like in females that leads to infertility. Then also there are things like pancreatitis. Especially alcohol is a common cause of pancreatitis. So what it does, it causes an inflammation of the pancreas. So now the pancreas produces insulin, but to a lesser degree. So now it's other causes are now coming in to bring in the type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to stick on the pancreas for a little bit. Have we seen cases of pancreatic cancer being on the rise? Does that inhibit also? Do we now see that patients who have pancreatic cancer would then also be potential diabetics?
Yes, anything that will affect the pancreas, because remember the pancreas is what is producing insulin. So if you have pancreatic cancer, most of the time it infiltrates into the pancreas, and as long as there's infiltration, there will be less production of insulin. So yes, pancreatic cancer can lead to diabetes.
Okay.
And also we've talked about pancreatitis itself, inflammation and infection can lead to diabetes. Sorry, I forgot to mention about medication. Things like steroids can also lead to diabetes, and there are other drugs that anything that will affect the pancreas will be a secondary cause of diabetes.
Okay.
Yes.
How does it present itself?
Okay. Thank you. So for diabetes, how it presents, the signs and symptoms that we look out for. So you have increased urination, you have excessive thirst, you find yourself eating more than you'd normally eat, so your appetite increases. We also have weight loss in these patients. Some also present with blurred vision, and some just come and present with things like numbness of the hands and the lower limbs. But most of the time, the common causes are the increased thirst, increased urination, and find yourself eating a lot, and blurred vision.
And tingling of...
Yes.
Tingling of?
Of the hands and the lower and the feet. Because it affects the nerves.
Like constant pins and needles kind of thing?
Yes. Oh, okay. Because diabetes affects the nerves, it affects the blood vessels. So once it affects the nerves, you get the numbness of the hands and the lower limbs.
Okay.
So some just come and say, Dr. I'm having a lot of numbness of my hands and lower limbs, and most of the time, the first thing we screen for is diabetes.
What kind of screening do you do? What kind of tests are we looking at for you to realize it?
So there are various tests that you can do to screen for diabetes. There's something we call a fasting blood sugar, which we do before you eat. We also have a random blood sugar. And we also have something called the HbA1c. The HbA1c looks at your sugar levels in the last 3 months. And we also have something called oral glucose tolerance test, although we use that a lot in pregnancy. So for us to say that you have diabetes, we need at least 2 of these tests being abnormal on 2 different occasions. But if a patient presents with high blood sugar above 11 and they have symptoms that we've talked about, like excessive thirst, excessive urination, peeing a lot at night, eating a lot, or even weight loss, most of the time that is adequate enough to diagnose a patient with diabetes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So in patients with type 1 diabetes, are we saying that most of them have been born with it? The only diabetes that you acquire is type 2?
Yes, most of the time the one that you acquire is type 2.
Okay.
Type 1 comes in earlier. They diagnose it in the younger children, or even 4 to 5 years. But there's something called, there's also a late onset that can happen type 1. But most of the time it's in the younger population. But sometimes you can have a condition that actually causes total damage to your pancreas. And you see, as long as you have absolute insulin deficiency, you actually categorized as type 1. So they actually tests that help us to differentiate, because there's some adults we find having type 1 diabetes later. So sometimes you have to do some tests to try and differentiate, are they having type 1 or type 2? Because as long as they have type 1, they'll not respond to oral medication. They'll need insulin for them to regulate their sugar levels.
Oh, hang on. You said absolute insulin deficiency.
Yes,
so there are cases where the pancreas will not produce any insulin at all whatsoever.
Yes, because the as we said, most of type 1s are autoimmune. So the body's immunity is destroying the pancreatic cells that are supposed to be producing insulin. So they have close to absolute insulin deficiency. So they don't have insulin at all. That is why they are totally dependent on insulin for their control of blood sugar, as opposed to the type 2. Yes.
Okay. Before we go to interventions, and what kind of treatment are we looking at?
Okay. So for type, generally first for diabetic patients, once you make the diagnosis, we talk a lot about lifestyle change, because even if you put the patient on medication and they do not practice lifestyle change, it's basically zero work. So we discuss that with the patients in terms of lifestyle. Lifestyle means your diet. So we always enroll you with a nutritionist to guide you and what foods you need to eat. We actually advocate for high fiber diet. And then we also talk about exercise. So we talk about 150 minutes per week of moderate exercise, 75 minutes per week of vigorous exercise for the patients. We talk about weight loss. We talk about if you're smoking, quitting smoking. we talk about other things like things that can reduce your stress levels, because also that can lead to high sugar levels in the patient. Then once we have done that, sometimes we give a trial actually for some patients who we know are committed. We give them a 3-month trial to try the lifestyle change, especially in the type 2 diabetes. A 3-month trial to try, do the lifestyle change, monitor your sugars, and then we see. Then once we decide now this patient needs medication, there are several drugs that act differently on several organs to try and regulate the blood sugar. So there are drugs that we give. There are several drugs that are out there. I don't know if I'm going to go into them, that we give for our patients in order to control the blood sugar. Yes.
But then sometimes you have, okay, not sometimes, I guess maybe for a lot of them, that you have them getting a shot.
Yes,
of
insulin.
Yes. Or nowadays there is, I think it's a patch, and then you just change the patch, no? So that is a constant, it's an everyday thing, and you see that if you don't get it, they would have attacks or or pass out. What's going on with that?
Okay, so sometimes, like for the type 2 diabetics, it depends also on what you call the HbA1c level. Some guidelines talk about when the A1c level is above 10, sometimes you can say you actually start this patient directly on insulin. But what we usually do, we start them on oral medication. And once we put them on oral medication, sometimes we go up to even 3 oral medications, and the patient's sugar control is still not good enough. So sometimes you have to give them insulin together with some oral medications to help to control their sugar levels. You've mentioned something about the patch.
Yes.
So nowadays there are advancements. There are actually other injections that you can use. You've heard of Ozempic, that you inject once a week, that actually helps to lower blood sugars. Although the challenge with that is still a bit costly for the common man, but it is available. And then we also have new technologies where we have insulin pumps, which actually now being done even in small children. So what the insulin pumps do, they're actually devices that you put under the skin, and they deliver insulin either as a continuous infusion or boluses based on the sugar levels of the patient. So, and also there are things called continuous glucose monitoring. So what it does, it prevents you from continuous pricks to check your sugar levels. So what this device does, it keeps checking your sugar levels. It can send even alerts to you and tell you, hey, your blood sugar is high, you need to do something about it. And sometimes there are also other things called artificial pancreas, which now the continuous glucose monitoring works together with the insulin pump to see, so the continuous glucose monitoring tells your body the sugar levels are high based on what you have eaten. The insulin pump now releases the insulin that is needed for you to control your blood sugar level. So those are the advancements that are there currently for diabetes. Yes.
Can I ask a question here? I think it's the second one that comes in this same area. There's a lady here, she says, I'm a type 2 diabetic and I'm 40 years old. I use injectable Ozempic and Jardiance. Don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Anytime I take fats, my pancreas gets inflamed. Kindly explain the cause of the inflammation.
Anytime she takes, so fats, something called dyslipidemia, which is increased cholesterol within the blood vessel. So that's one of the causes actually of diabetes, and also things that can lead to poor control of diabetes in our patients. And it's one of the things that we screen our patients for what we call dyslipidemia. So when they have the cholesterol levels are high, they can also lead to poor control of your blood pressure. So actually we say all patients who are 40 years and above, the guidelines actually say that they're supposed to be on statins to lower your fat levels within the body. So it's a patient or advice maybe to have their cholesterol levels checked. And also once the cholesterol levels are checked, maybe they can have a discussion with their primary doctor. Do they need to be on, they actually needs to be on a statin to control her cholesterol levels. And also maybe look at other things. Sometimes some people, when they take fatty foods because of issues with the bile, it can also cause some issues in terms of inflammation. But I would advise her to have her cholesterol levels checked, because that's a common cause of poor control of diabetes in our patients.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's take a break and we continue this conversation shortly, which is our Health Friday conversation, marking World Diabetes Day, which was marked globally yesterday. But then we today have this conversation with a Daktari who is a family physician, Dr. Isabel Makadwal. Where do you practice?
PCA Kikuyu Hospital.
PCA Kikuyu?
Yes.
You're one of those.
One of those what?
One of those doctors who practice at PCA Kikuyu Hospital.
Yeah. So PCA Kikuyu Hospital is well known. It's big.
Yes.
Right? It's a very big hospital. Ndu,
yes.
As we take this break, please remind everybody about thinking priority banking and how Standard Chartered Bank treats you with priority.
Absolutely. So it's really about taking control of your wealth. So you're thinking, okay, so I'm getting to the place where I want to grow this thing. I want to make sure that I'm comfortable. And, why not throw in a bit of luxury there later on in life? So the questions that you start to ask yourself, okay, so what does it mean to have financial freedom? What does it mean to actually say that at some point I can grow this wealth, which I've been able to? So are you looking to take control? Look no further than Standard Chartered Priority Banking, where there are folks who are dedicated to helping you. We talked about 110, what, CT?
Years of expertise.
110 years of expertise.
1 century. Just in case you think that wasn't enough, they've added a decade to it.
There you go. 110 years of experience. So these folks know what they're talking about.
They do.
And they're also in 50 unique markets around the world. So there are people from different walks of life who've experienced these different countries, different places. So they've been able to put all of this knowledge in one place and say, you know what, come and have that conversation with a trusted financial advisor who will say, okay, how much do you have? What are your interests? What you want to do in the future, to sit down and be dedicated to you and with you about how you can grow your wealth. It's the folks at the Standard Chartered Priority Banking. You can write to them today. You can go and have a visit with them and they can tell you what to do. So it's prioritybanking.ke@sc.com. It's about making sure your wealth works for you today, tomorrow, and beyond.
28 minutes to 8.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
Okay, cloudy conditions. The rain is still coming down in parts of Nairobi, highs of 22 and lows of 15. We'll see highs of 22 and lows of 14 in Nakuru, and highs of 21 and lows of 14 in a rainy Nyeri. It's partly sunny in Eldoret at 15, highs of 23, and Mombasa is partly sunny at 26, going to highs of 31. We'll see highs of 31 and lows of 26 in a partly sunny Malindi. It's 20 and clear in Kisumu, highs of 30, and we'll see highs of 27 in a clear Kakamega at 16. Mostly cloudy at 18 in Kampala with highs of 27, and we'll see highs of 31 in Dar es Salaam. Johannesburg at 12 is mostly sunny, highs of 23, while Mogadishu is partly sunny at 25. We'll see highs of 31. 8 degrees sunny in Addis Ababa with highs of 22, and it's partly cloudy at 27 in Lagos with highs of 32. Kinshasa, cloudy after the rain showers this morning at 24, going to highs of 28.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life.
It is busy in the city this morning. Look at the Eastern Bypass. I don't even know how many bumpers we have here, but traffic is bumper to bumper. Add another bumper for good measure. That loop coming in from Outer Ring, trying to find its way to North Airport Road, also bumper to bumper. The rain is coming down, so it's going to slow things down considerably. But let's look at other parts as well. Folks are trying to get through to Donholm and then find their way out towards Outer Ring. Also, the same thing is happening as they come off Savannah Road, also Kangunda Road. Absolute mess here. Let's see what happens as you do the loop and get onto the Thika Superhighway. Not too bad until you get to Survey, and that's really slow. There's traffic also coming on the western side of the city. Ring Road, Kileleshwa, Ring Road, Westlands. James Gishuru also starting to pack up as you get towards the Red Hill Link Road, which for now will link you, but later we're just going to have to wait and see. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X. Hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
6 minutes to 8. Our conversation continues. Now, the future belongs to those who do what? Who prepare for it. Okay? Are you prepared for your future? Join the fastest growing pension fund in Kenya, Taifa Pension Fund, registered and regulated by the Retirement Benefits Authority, and its contracted out scheme receiving Tier 2 contributions, www.taifapensionfund.com. That's 3 W's city dot Taifa Pension Fund.
We normally do this. There are people who count 3 like this.
And there is.
Yes.
And then there is this.
And then there's this.
It's you.
And then there's this.
Wow.
Hang on, Dick. www.taifapensionfund.com. All right, Dr. Isabel Makadwal, family physician from the PCA Kikuyu Hospital, is here. We're talking about diabetes. Many questions online.
Many questions. We can look into some of them. I just have to say, Azaria is a gentleman, not a lady. So I just need to. I get that all the time, so I understand that as well. Before that, SKM is asking about the connection between genetics and diabetes. Is it possible, or is it often the case that it is inherited from parents?
Yes, there is a link between genetics and diabetes, especially if you have a first-degree relative who has diabetes. Chances of having diabetes is high, and that is why we recommend patients who have a first-degree relative to start their screenings done at least from 35 years and above.
What's a first-degree relative?
That's your mom, your dad, your brothers, your
direct.
sisters.
Okay,
yes.
all right.
You should have screening done.
Wait, excuse me,
yes,
teacher. If my elder brother gets diabetes at 40 and I was born later, after he was born, he's my first degree relative. Do I have that risk?
Yes, the fact that he's your...
Sorry. But it was his lifestyle.
So... Yes,
okay.
Yes. We do not negate the fact that lifestyle does play a role in diabetes. But the fact that, you have a family history of diabetes, I always tell my patients, it's my language, you have to work extra harder. You have to be more intentional in terms of your exercise, more intentional in terms of your diet, because you are at risk of having diabetes. So if you're screened and you find that your sugar levels are within normal, it's advisable for you to do your screen every 3 years, just to make sure that you do not develop diabetes, or even if you do, it's caught early and you're able to manage it.
Okay.
Yes.
My younger brother got a diabetic attack. He is type 1.
Yes.
And when I went for him, I fed him sugar, thinking it was the lack of it that made him weak. And there was a lack of knowledge. And it's interesting because we hear it a lot. I need a shot of something. I need some sugar to, wake
sugar
up.
Rush.
I need, exactly. And we hear that from some diabetics. Is that a misnomer?
So one of the important things that we need to recognize are what we call the laws of diabetes. And actually, when we are diagnosing our patients with diabetes, we educate them on what to look out for when your sugar is low. Then I'll talk about the diabetic emergency. So it's important to know when his sugar is low. So usually what happens, the patient gets very agitated. They're very irritated, they have blood vision, they start shaking. So we advise our patients that when you have any of this, you should take now sugar at that point, because most of the time your sugar levels are low. But from what I'm hearing, his relative got what we call a diabetic emergency, which is called, most of the time in type 1, it's called the diabetic ketoacidosis. So what happens at that point, because of insulin levels being low, most of the time these patients have infection, which trigger them to go into the diabetic ketoacidosis. So what happens, the body tries to find sugar from the body, so it breaks down the fat. So when it breaks down the fat, they go into what we call an acidosis. So with that, most of the time the sugar is actually high. So at that point, you do not need to administer glucose. If anything, we need to lower the sugar levels, address what is causing the emergency. We give a lot of fluids, and usually the patients respond. So that's a patient who should not have been given sugar.
So what should
if
happen?
anything, they need insulin, they need intravenous fluids.
To absorb it.
Exactly.
But then this is something that has started because your body had not enough sugar. And then the body is looking for the sugar. And then now it gets excess sugar. Am I getting that sequence right?
So for diabetic ketoacidosis, usually it's triggered by an infection. So when they have an infection, most of the time these patients don't eat. So they're not eating. So the body is now trying to find sugar.
Right.
So what the body does, it breaks down the fats that are already there to try and get sugar for this patient. As it breaks down the fats, now it also leads to acids. So as it breaks down the fat, you get the acids, what you get now, what you call the diabetic ketoacidosis.
Okay.
So at that point, the sugar is very high. So it has broken down the fats to get sugar. The sugar level has gone up. And as it breaks down the fat, some of the components of breaking down the fat is the acids, which is called the ketoacidosis.
Okay. 3 questions. 1, when you're referred to as a family doctor, what does that mean?
All right, thank you. So a family physician...
The family has a history of doctors.
So family medicine, we are trained to take care of a patient who is part of a family, who is part of a community. So we are trained to take care of the whole family, which is the children, the adults, the geriatrics, even pregnant mothers. We are trained to take care of them. We call ourselves specialist generalists, but we are passionate about prevention of diseases, because we feel most of the time, by the time a patient has presented with a certain condition, like what you're calling about diabetic ketoacidosis, that is something would have been prevented if a patient was screened out there in the community. So we are passionate about prevention, about community care, but our purpose mainly is to take care of the whole family. So we're able to guide you, like if you need a certain specialist, because we are your family doctor, we can guide you which specialist do you need to see and at what point you need to see the specialist. Yes, so that is what a family doctor does.
All right. Question 1. What is the relationship between stress and diabetes?
All right. So, when the body is under stress, it produces a hormone called cortisol. So, with the cortisol levels going up, any stress causes breakdown also of the fats, of the stress hormones, what you call so they increase your sugar levels. So anytime you have stress, it breaks down most of those fats and the sugar levels tend to go up. So it's like your hormones are in an overdrive. So it's like it's telling your body you're in trouble. So it breaks down the fats and the sugars, so sugars go up.
What is it that would lower your sugar levels?
When you're stressed, or just generally?
No, generally speaking, what would lower your sugar levels?
So medication would lower your sugar levels.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that's a tricky question. Do you mean like are you already
go on holiday? I'm joking.
Well, what I'm combining 2 questions into one.
Yes.
There are those who say they are hypertensive.
Yes.
And then there's the hypo.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
hypotension or hypoglycemia?
Yes, hypertension, not
Yes.
hypoglycemia.
All
We can
right.
get there. But I'm asking, what is it that happens with people? Because people sometimes say, okay, now, disclosure, I speak as a diabetic.
All right.
I am diabetic.
Yes.
But now, generally speaking, what is it that then makes people who say that they're diabetic need to hang around with sugars, a chocolate, a sweet? What is the need for all this?
So most of the time with those patients, the sugar control probably is not very good. And that is why you need regular follow-up for you to have a discussion. Because every time a patient comes before you, we check on how are their blood sugars at home. And based on their blood sugars, we're able to regulate their medication. But we also say things can happen. Maybe you didn't take your shot, or maybe you took too much of your medication, so your sugar level drops. And that is why we say we teach our patients on what are the signs to look out for hypoglycemia. And when that happens, that's why you tell them you should have a sweet. When that happens, you can take a sweet and the sugar can quickly go up. But most of the time, it reflects on the control of the blood sugar of this patient.
So it's over control.
It can be, let me explain. Sometimes diabetics can eat less than what they are required to do. Some of them misconstrue how their diet is supposed to be. So some of them go into extreme fasting in their attempt to lose weight, because they are trying to manage their sugar. So with that, sometimes the blood sugar dips too much, and then they get into hypoglycemia, which can cause them to go to faint and lose consciousness. So just to avoid such episodes, we advise them, in case you feel those signs and symptoms of low blood sugar, it's important for you to have the glucose. Sometimes you might eat something very little and you take your normal requirement of insulin, so your sugar does what? It dips. based on the amount of food you've taken. So just for prevention, we usually advise our patients to have something sweet to eat, just in case they have the signs of hypoglycemia.
Okay, lastly, what is the relationship of water to diabetes?
Proper rehydration is definitely important for patients who are diabetic. And actually, sometimes when a patient comes and the sugar levels are high, we actually give them fluids, even sometimes without insulin, and it actually dips. So there is a relation that with increased water, it can actually help to lower your blood sugar levels. And of course, good hydration is important because even the kidneys are involved in the whole regulation of the sugars of your blood pressure, so they go in tandem. Yes.
You spoke about how it presents itself, increased urination, especially at night, thirst, blood vision, weight loss, tingling or numbness of hands and lower limbs. Someone is asking, how about fatigue?
Yes. I didn't exhaust the list. Yes, there is fatigue. There's so many things. There is fatigue, especially sometimes when a patient comes to you and they say they're feeling very tired. They just feel like their energy levels are down. Those are patients we actually need to also check what are their sugar levels. Yeah, there's weight loss, there's blood vision, I just mentioned the main ones that usually our patients present with. And most of the time when we see that, and it's important for the public to know that increased urination, increased thirst, blood vision, headaches, fatigue, weight loss, unexplained weight loss, those are key things, and especially numbness, we see that a lot. Those are key things that we need to, when you see them, even in your people around you, encourage them to have a blood sugar test. Yes.
Lifestyle change, high fiber diet.
Yes.
What's high fiber?
So high fiber diet, when you look at the plate of a diabetic patient, we encourage them to have a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits.
What type of vegetables?
Okay, vegetables are vegetables. Green,
kuna zingine purple, kuna zingine orange.
Ile cabbage ya purple.
Ile cabbage ya juicy, that sort of thing. So then kuna green.
No, vegetables generally, all vegetables are high in fiber.
Yeah, and they're good.
And they are good. Yes. They are good. Fruits are the ones that we usually encourage our patients to get counsel from the nutritionist, because some fruits are very high in sugar. So usually in terms of fruits, the nutritionist is able to give a guide on portions of the fruits that you should eat and which ones do not raise your sugar level too high.
Okay.
Yes.
Lakini mboga kula.
Kabisa.
Mboga kabisa. Rose is saying, can we talk about the expensive insulin? Can we actually talk about the cost of managing diabetes, right? Because there's insulin, there are things now that we're hearing called glucose strips, glucose monitors, especially for type 1 diabetics.
You know, every disease, there's an industry that supports it.
I'm telling you, it's proper something. Because you can imagine, it's every day.
That is true.
And even as we look at the expense of managing diabetes, it is absolutely necessary that you do. Because a type 1 diabetic, if they do not have insulin, in the regular times that they should, they could go into shock and unfortunately, in some cases, die.
True.
So you have to have it. You can't say, well, I'm going to skip till Tuesday because, I'm a bit broke. You can't do that.
Yes.
So how expensive is it to manage diabetes?
That is very true. And one of the things that we empathize with our patients about, because unfortunately, even diabetes itself comes with other conditions, and the patients usually end up having so many drugs. So most of the time, diabetic patients also end up having hypertension. So there's a lot of polypharmacy. They end up having what we talked about, the neuropathies. So usually, even the prescription of a diabetic patient, you have their diabetic medications, you have their hypertensive medications, you have medications for the neuropathies, and then also they have to keep checking their blood sugars, okay? And that's why he's asking about the strips. The machine itself, we encourage our patients to have the machine, the strips, the syringes for them to regularly monitor their sugars. So it is indeed expensive for these patients to manage diabetes. And they also have the test that they do 3 monthly just to check on complications. So one of the things that the government does, especially in the county hospitals, they try and regulate. They get their drugs at a subsidized fee. So at least for that, it helps. When the hospitals are well stocked, it helps to reduce the cost of medication for their patients. But you see, they still have to buy the machines. So it's something that I think would be great if you would have these things provided to our patients, so that to just reduce the overall cost of managing diabetes. Because our theme even this is diabetes care and well-being. And for care, we mean affordable care. Are we able to access care that would be able to enable this patient to have holistic care and be able to manage their sugars adequately? Yes.
What's the disease burden in terms of percentage in Kenya?
So currently we are talking of 3.3% prevalence of diabetes, but WHO is projecting by 2025 we should be having about 4.5%
in Kenya.
Is that based on type 2 or across?
Across, but mostly type 2. Type 2 is the commonest cause of diabetes, but it's because of lifestyle. Nowadays we do a lot of processed foods. We sit in offices from morning to evening. We'd rather take the lift than take the stairs. We are not exercising, So it's lifestyle, basically. Lifestyle change. We are seeing a lot of change in our diet and lack of exercise. And as I said, sedentary lifestyle. Yes. Because we have actually seen patients who are diabetic, and with exercise and weight loss, their medication requirements actually reduce, and actually some have had reversal with lifestyle change. Yes.
Okay. How radical can you get with treatment? So we look at other diseases, cancer, for example, you can get extremely radical, remove the whole thing, right? So if you have a pancreas that is not operating for this insulin that you need, how radical can you get? Get a new pancreas, transplant, things like that? Do they actually come into play when talking about the treatment and management of diabetes? Do things like that come into discussion?
Like getting a pancreas, transplant of pancreas?
Transplant.
I think that is why now they are bringing in the issue of artificial pancreas, which is relying more on technology to use what, as we said, the insulin pumps, which now are working together with the glucose monitoring to give now this artificial pancreas like signals that now it needs to produce insulin to control the sugars. But in terms of transplant of the pancreas, maybe that is something that is still ongoing. Yeah.
Azaria is asking this question again. Not asking again, but asking a different question. He says, I lost a lot of weight early stages when I got diabetes. I've seen this symptom in many other diabetic patients at early stages. What happens to weight loss? That you lose quite a lot of it at the beginning.
So for diabetic patients, especially type 1, they lose a lot of weight. It's part of the complication of diabetes. Because diabetes has also a lot to do with the regulation of how you store your fats and everything. So for the type 1s, they tend to lose a lot of weight because they're not having the insulin to control and regulate. You see, the insulin is what feeds the body, because it takes the sugar into the body, and that is what is used to grow your cells, right? For your cells to be nourished, you need sugar. So if that is not happening, you'll definitely lose weight because your tissues are not getting the oxygen that they need, the sugar that it needs, so you lose a lot of weight. But you see, if you start putting back the insulin early, you're able to maintain your weight. Yeah, because without energy, it's like you don't have energy in your body. You lose weight. So that is why the type 1s lose a lot of weight, especially in the early stages. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I hope that makes sense.
Let's be clear. Is diabetes curable?
It's reversible.
And what's the difference?
Wow. I think reversible means that it's not 100% guaranteed that it will be, because if we said curable, it means that I will guarantee you that if I put you on this diet, this medication, I can give you 100%. It's like an infection. I'll give you 100% guarantee that if we do this, you'll get cure. but that is not the case. There are some patients who still do everything that they need to do, the weight loss, the exercise, and still they do not achieve that complete reversal. I actually have a patient who I really admire. He's an ex-military officer. Whenever he comes, his sugar levels are usually on target. Even his records, the way he carries them, they're on target. He's always taking medication. He has very good support from his family. And for me, the lesson I got is also discipline is very important for sugar control.
Right.
So that is why I'm saying it is reversible. I will not use the word. I'll not use the word.
And reversible here means that whereas the pancreas was not producing insulin, we now see that it would.
Now there, what we'd say is we have increased your insulin sensitivity.
Okay.
Because the issue was now you are producing insulin, but you had less sensitivity to the
For
insulin.
it to do what it should do.
Exactly. Or for it to reach the muscles, maybe because of obesity, of lack of exercise. So now we're having more sensitivity to the insulin, and now we've been able to reverse the diabetes.
Does it then matter? Does it depend on how soon you're diagnosed and how soon you start this?
Definitely. The earlier you're diagnosed and put on medication, it helps. Number one, why? Diabetes also affects a lot of organs. Diabetes affects your eyes, the blood vessels, causes them to harden, become narrow. It affects your kidneys, and kidneys are also very important in regulating your blood pressure. That's why you see patients with diabetes also have hypertension. So if it's caught early, it will not have caused the adverse effects, and therefore it will be easier to have reversal of the diabetes.
And reversal often means also that you are now off medication.
Off medication, and you can manage it with just food and
yes, I speak
but not off exercise.
No, you have to exercise.
And cabbage.
And cabbage. So there's a marijuana question, which is a serious question that has been asked and probably used by lots of people around the world. Medical marijuana for the treatment and management of diabetes. Is it a thing?
There's a medical aspect of marijuana.
There's medical marijuana. Hey, CT.
No, I'm just asking. There's a medical aspect to marijuana.
Yes.
Okay.
But relax.
But just be easy for now.
Relax.
No, I'm actually.
Don't say I said.
Yes.
CT anasema diabetes. Amesikia kuna bangi na saidia.
Bangi katikati ya diabetes.
Wacha kwanza let's hear from the doctor.
On that, I would request maybe to do a bit more research. I know about marijuana in terms of pain management, but for diabetes, allow me to research on that. Yeah, I don't want to give
false hope.
Yes.
Does diabetes lower libido in men?
Thank you. Yes,
what's the available solution?
Diabetes does lower libido in men, and it's one of the things that we try to screen for, especially when our patients come in for their checkups, and it's all based on the flow, the blood flow of. We've said when you have diabetes, it causes the blood vessels to narrow and become hardened, so the blood flow is also reduced. So yes, diabetes lowers libido in men.
All right, mitishamba. There are people who swear alikunywa mitishamba, alipewa dawa na hiyo kitu alimaliza. Nakunywa hii dawa, my friend, naponyesha kila kitu. Gonja ya sukari, gonja ya damu, gonja ya malesa yote, na dawa ya miti. True?
We've had several patients who've come in and say they come in diabetic emergency and they say that they used mitishamba and they got better, their sugar levels were okay, but now they've come in and they're in what we call the diabetic ketoacidosis, and so I don't know, it probably works for a while, but I would not recommend it for my patients. I would just, because that is what we learn and that is what we have seen that works. My challenge with sometimes the mitishamba is how much are you taking? We don't have dosages for it. I honestly believe most of our medicine comes from herbs, but have we gotten the right dosages for this?
There's some science behind it.
Exactly, the right dosages. So until we are there and we have people who actually study this and get us the right dosage and make sure it's not affecting our renal and liver function, I will tell our patients, please let us stick to what is researched and is known to work, which is our medication and lifestyle.
Asante sana. Dr. Isabel Makaduol is a family physician. She's at PCA Kikuyu Hospital. We've been talking about diabetes. Ndu?
Yes, dear.
Standard Chartered. What's that email?
It is priority banking. It's priority. Wait, let me just get it and do it right so that I don't make a mistake. I could be saying something.
It's a priority.
Definitely priority is there.
And there's SC.
But now let me tell you what it is for real. For real. Priority banking. I was right the first time. I should never doubt myself.
Never doubt yourself.
Just like you should never doubt Standard
Go
Chartered.
on. Priority banking?
prioritybanking.ke@sc.com.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Super petrol will continue to retail at 180 shillings, diesel at 168 shillings and kerosene at 151 shillings for the next 30 days. That's according to a review released by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority. The prices are inclusive of the 16% VAT in line with the provisions of the Finance Act 2023, the Tax Laws Amendment Act of 2020, and the revised rates for excise duty. Now, Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga led an ODM delegates meeting in Migori County to discuss party strategies and address local development priorities. Wanga called on ODM members to work together to strengthen the party's presence in the region and beyond.
Huyu msichana anaitwa ODM akianza kutembea kwa barabara, watu wanaangalia yeye, wanasema huyu ndio tunafall na yeye. That is what we want to do for our party. We want to make our party attractive to the people of Kenya so that we can prepare for the future.
Residents of Other River in Machakos County can now breathe a sigh of relief after the Kenya Commercial Bank began the regularization of East African Portland Cement Company land. The bank, in a consultative meeting held in Mavoko, announced plans to sell the land to the locals, vowing not to evict squatters already residing in the said parcel located off Mombasa Road. Led by KCB's Group Head of Credit Support, Oscar Obuna, the team committed to working with residents through the entire regularization process, where local squatters will first be allowed to register before the bank begins to validate their documents. After validation, the bank will undertake planning in conjunction with the county government requirements, surveying the land parcels before embarking on the valuation of the land, after which the validated owners will be required to pay to receive the title deeds. Now, youth participating in arts and crafts in Kakamega County are calling upon the county government through the Ministry of Sports to come clean and put to rest rumors that the annual cultural festival that is organized every year may not be held this year. Speaking in Mumias, the youth led by Kasim Radieta said that the festivals have been around for over 13 years and that they are now surprised by the rumors doing rounds that they will not be held, yet they are prepared to participate.
Kutokana na hii miradi kuna vijana wameenda England. Kutokana na hii miradi last year tukiwa pale Makweni, kikundi kimoja kutoka paka Kakamega ya Sifa Melodies ilipata sponsorship. Na hii ni tamaduni zetu. Sisi tunauza Kakamega. Juzi watu wa UN walichagua Kakamega na kusifu Isukuti kupitia hizi miradi. Ukisema miradi kama hizo vitu za utamaduni zizimie, umemaliza watu wa Kakamega. Mimi naomba serikali yetu ya county, waziri na watu wote ambao wanahusika na hizi mipango, tafadhali shikeni hawa vijana mikono, mtushike mikono, kwa sababu ajira hapa pia inakuwa ni kazi ngumu, lakini sisi tumejiajiri kupitia hizi vitu.
Now, the AfricaCom 2024 Ministerial Forum brought together ministers and high-level representatives from Kenya, South Africa, Uganda and other stakeholders. AfricaCom, one of Africa's largest ICT exhibitions, hosted over 300 exhibitors and attracted more than 15,000 participants this year, underlining the significant and growing interest in advancing digitalization across the continent. Kenya's Cabinet Secretary for Information, Communication and Digital Economy, Margaret Nyambura Ndongo, highlighted Kenya's commitment to advancing digital transformation through comprehensive and inclusive policies. She outlined Kenya's approach to digitalization, which aims to expand digital infrastructure, improve access and enhance skills and awareness nationwide. Now, the Central Bank of Kenya has said that the Kenyan banking system is stable amid reports of money circulation shortage across the country. For the better part of past 2 weeks. Reports alleged a lack of enough money circulating across the country attributed to a cap introduced by some banks on the amount one can withdraw. CBK, in a statement, dismissed the reports and emphasized that the sector is stable and resilient. The entity appealed to Kenyans to rely on information from its official channels and disregard reports that would cause panic. Little money in circulation will result in minimal spending and hence negatively affects the country's gross domestic product. This is Newswire, and for those who are listening, remember this girl called SpiceFM, akitembea watu wanafall na yeye. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing police of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. And hii mambo utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, there is traffic on Outer Ring this morning, and some of that is going in the direction of North Airport Road. The rest of it, obviously, in the other direction out towards the Thika Superhighway. But you'll get to the Thika Superhighway and you'll be fine. That'll flow smoothly till you get to Survey. That's going to clock up some. And then also on Kiambu Road, that's very busy coming into the city as well. Lower Kabete, going towards Spring Valley, touching on Parklands Road is very busy as well. Waiyaki Way, this whole Ring Road, Parklands, doing the business there. There's quite some traffic. The roads are slippery, so you want to be careful. James Geshuru, now is when we see that packing up. Waiyaki Way coming in all the way, actually, from Kangemi is starting to slow down considerably. We haven't seen traffic in this area for some time, not like this at least. Okay, on Uhuru Highway is going to get a lot of it coming in. And the Eastern Bypass, my goodness, coming in from the Roy Junction is very, very busy this morning. We're going to keep an eye on all of this. Talk to us about what's going on, where you are to keep things moving this morning. SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have CT Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
8 minutes after 8. How you doing? Welcome to the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. Bang in the middle of the month, the 15th of November, 2024. Kati mwezi. Right? Yeah, but I have salams for you guys. Yesterday, tulipoachana na wewe city. Pale ambapo tulikuwa tunauza ile plot.
Ndio wale jamaa walikubali kuinunua bana.
Jamaa achana bana.
Okay, tuachane nao, lakini tuambie mazuri lakini.
But I met a guy called Victor. Right, and he says say hello to Ndu and CT and Lydiah, and says I listen to you guys, and you've been talking about Tala being a close companion. Like, let me tell you my story. Okay? So Victor has incomes, but the incomes are not usually coming at the end of the month. right? And this happens with many people. They come hapa na pale, but usually around the mid of the month, that's when his income starts consolidating. But then the bills don't consolidate at the middle of the month. The bills consolidate where? At the beginning of the month.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got those ones: power, water. He's got internet connection that he pays for, Wi-Fi. He's got streaming services that he pays for, right? And then he says, recently I heard you guys talking about the Safaricom all-in-one, so I got into it. So he's also brought it to the beginning of the month. So he has all those things. So right now, his monthly, those early monthly bills are about 8 to 10K that fall between the 1st and around the 7th of the month that he has to pay.
Tala amesaidia
Rent ameambia landlord wetu tutadili na wamekubaliana arrangement. Sasa unajua hizi enda kwa Kenya Power. Now he says what he's been doing is that Tala is one that comes through for him at this point, at the beginning of the month. So he goes to Tala, gets the money, pays the bills. He knows he has 60 days, but he knows within 15 days I'm going to clear this, right? So when the income starts coming, he starts repaying his loans with Tala. So Tala now becomes the one thing that is also stabilizing his financial planning, right? When you talk about companion, Victor was like, you guys talk about it like, it's one of those stories. Go and tell my story.
It's true.
This is how Tala is my companion. It comes in for me at that point. And I bridge and I'm able to repay it on time. And he says he has actually grown his credit limit. Now he's at 35K.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
He can borrow up to 35,000 shillings. He borrows and repays on time. Constantly. Like that. So Tala is the companion that you need for your life. All right? And think about it today. Download it today. Where? On?
The Google Play Store, just on Android for now. Google Play Store, so you can download that and get into it immediately.
Kabisa. We've also been talking about retirement, didn't you?
Yes, we have.
Taifa Pension Fund.
Yes.
Tell us about it, Taifa Pension Fund.
Well, there are pension schemes and there are pension schemes. Okay. Now, one of the beautiful things about Taifa Pension Scheme, Pension Fund, it's a scheme and it's a fund, is first of all where it is nestled. Okay? You know how it is, you hear, okay, these people look after your money, and then suddenly you find your money is looking after itself. And where it has gone to look after itself, you're not even clear. Taifa Pension Fund is Kenya's largest, yani ukipimba zile ambayo ziko, hii ni largest, okay? The financial services that it offers you are appealing. Consider, if you are a member of that scheme within the pension fund, God forbid something happens to you and you pass away, you will get 3 times the annual amount that you have. 3 times. Not once, 3 times. It doesn't mean that you will forsake whatever it is you're supposed to receive at the end of your savings. No, that you will also receive. But more importantly, it's a fund you can talk to. It's a fund you can ask things about. It's a fund you can explain your needs to. It's a fund that will meet you again at that point of need that you have. Now, saving for a pension doesn't begin when you start getting old. It begins when you are young. With whatever you have, you start there. Starting is what enables it to grow. Yes.
Fantastic.
Very good. We're going to have a conversation about, the issues with the rollout of SHA and SHIF countrywide and what that means and how that is impacting people. We'll be joined by the MP for the Gori constituency, Yadhaniwa Mushomba. She's on the way. She got stuck up somewhere, but she says, apologies. Please ask the people to just bear with me. I'm on my way. I will be there very soon. As she does that, let me tell you this story that you read the headline in the paper.
Yes.
Lawyer denied chief's job for being overqualified. A man who was denied a chance to become a chief for allegedly being overqualified has gotten relief after the High Court quashed the appointment of his competitor. Abdullahi Omar Abajilo, who holds a bachelor's degree in law, had lodged a petition in the Employment and Labour Relations Court at Meru, where he argued that his constitutional rights were violated during the recruitment process of the chief of the township location in Moyale sub-county Marsabit. Abajilo, through his advocate Mugambi Kiogora, said he was among those who applied for the job, but Asha Ibrahim Boru was picked. Abajilo said the process in which Boru got the job was unconstitutional, illegal, unreasonable, irrational, and constitutionally unfair. No, constitutionally unfair. In the matter before Justice Onesimus Makau, he had sought an order restraining Boru from assuming office, exercising the power and functions of Chief Grade 2 for township location, or drawing any salaries or allowances. Kiogora said his client was among other candidates who applied for the job after the ministry advertised the vacancy, and the panel that did the interviews recommended Boru, leaving him feeling aggrieved since the process and the appointment was marred with corruption, tribalism, nepotism, among others. Abajilo claimed Boru was not qualified for the appointment as per the advertisement and the schemes of service. He said she possessed an academic grade of D+ in KCSE, secondary education, and instead of a C plane, and she hailed from another location. He told the court that the principle of fair representation was breached as the minority community was underrepresented, and that the winner was a sister to the assistant chief of township sublocation, and the community was dominant. He contended that although he emerged the top candidate during the interviews, Boru was unfairly recommended for appointment, an act which amounted to abuse of administrative authority and discretion. He says the action the respondents violated his right to equality before the law. However, the PS and the Moyale Deputy County Commissioner told the court Abajilo was just trying to mislead the court that the panel had declared him the top candidate, and the results of the interviews were never shared anywhere save in the court. In the decision, Justice Makau said it's clear that the process lacked openness as there was no material non-disclosure. The recruitment process was tainted with indirect discrimination against Abajilo and other applicants. So the judge quashed the appointment of Ms. Boru.
This is now our constitution in action.
Buana.
Alive and well.
Buana.
It raises a question that actually requires examining. How do you determine overqualification?
That's the thing. You know, throughout this, I've not heard where he's actually raising the issue of I'm overqualified. I see him raising the issue of she is not qualified because the requirement was a C and she got a D. But I'm not seeing where he says I was discriminated because I have a bachelor's degree.
No, he didn't raise that issue. Who raised the issue of his overqualification?
Unless it's also part of his suit, but
it wasn't covered in the paper, in the newspaper.
Yeah, Faris Mutembei's story did not capture that. I don't know. Hapo ndio maneno iko. Hapo ndio maneno iko.
You see, how do you overqualify for a job?
That's the thing.
Wouldn't it be a good thing to have somebody who had a wealth of information or a wealth of experience than to do that job? Or are you saying that usually the fear comes about with how you're going to have to remunerate them or compensate them because you feel as though they have this wealth of experience, so you think that they're going to demand a lot more money from you, so you say, actually, you know what, we're looking for somebody who's less qualified than you, so we don't have to pay them as much.
You know, the job of a chief and the remuneration is not something you're going to negotiate. It's predetermined. You know. It's not as though if you come with a PhD, they're going, that PhD is yours.
Yeah.
That degree, it's yours. You're niyako. This is what
do you
we
meet
pay.
The minimum?
Yes, that's it. And this is what we pay the chief. That's it. But more importantly, wouldn't it be nice to have a chief who actually has studied the law?
This is what I'm saying. You could actually benefit from this wealth of experience that this individual has.
Yes.
Why would you say that they're overqualified? The overqualification, if you want to put that in inverted, is that it could actually be of benefit to you as the hiring organization.
What is being spoken of here is something that's fairly daunting. They're actually saying, we want people who are not very qualified for this job.
That's what you're saying. We're going to lower the mark.
Yeah.
We're going to lower the mark. And then you expect to get fantastic output. I mean, have we not got it backwards?
Something isn't quite
There's
right.
something wrong. Something I miss here. You would think.
Before Gadoni gets here, let me give you another story.
Yes.
So yesterday, cabinet, all of them met.
Shouting.
-1. There's no interior minister. There's an acting one, right? So 24 ministers are in office. President William Ruto chaired a cabinet meeting at State House, and he was briefed on the impressive stability of the macroeconomic situation in the country following 2 years of deliberate fiscal management measures.
Which country?
Kenya.
Oh, okay.
The Kenyan economy continues its strong recovery from past global and domestic challenges, achieving a robust growth. Members of the cabinet were informed that inflation, which reflects the increase in prices over time, had declined substantially to 2.7% last month, down from a high of 9.6% in September 2022. Why September 2022 is important? Because this is when the administration came into office. Okay. This is the lowest inflation rate since 2007 during President Mwai Kibaki's tenure, and it aligns with the target set in the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. Consequently, the prices of various types of food, particularly maize, beans, peas, have decreased over the past year. A 2 kg packet of maize, which was retailing at 176 a year ago, is now selling at 124. I think the presidential communication team wanted to say maize flour, right? The cabinet was also informed that foreign exchange reserves at the CBK are at an all-time high of 9.5 billion shillings. It's an increase of 2.4 billion shillings, equivalent to 4.4 months of export cover. We're doing well.
Okay.
The meeting was further told that the country's economic growth has remained steady and ranks among the highest globally. Kenya's economic growth is ranking amongst the highest globally at 5.6% in 2023, with an estimated growth of 5% this year and next year. Regarding the exchange rate, the cabinet noted that the shilling has stabilized at 129 from the high of 162 after appreciating by nearly 20% earlier in the year. This appreciation led to reduced external debt service. Interest rates are beginning to decrease, which will result in lower domestic interest rate costs, creating fiscal space. On the revenue side, KRA's tax collections have grown by double digits. Tax revenue increased by 11.5% in the year to June 2024. The food situation in the country, stable. The cabinet was told that due to the government subsidized fertilizer program and other support measures extended to farmers, food security situation in the country has stabilized. As a result, most households can access basic food requirements. Currently, the country has 95.2 million 50-kilogram bags of maize, 8.8 million bags of beans, 10.4 million bags of wheat, 2.1 million bags of rice in stock. We are in the years of who?
Plenty.
Of Joseph. On sugar, the meeting noted that Kenya has for the first time produced enough sugar to meet local demand. As a result, no sugar will be imported this year. This achievement is due to subsidized fertilizer provided to farmers and improved management of the sector. Ona, mambo everywhere you look, even on labor, they say we have job opportunities. We have now sugar, we don't need to import sugar. Tuko na mchele, tuko na inaitwa mpunga, tuko na mpunga, tuko na mahindi, tuko na, kwa nafaka imewekwa. Mambo ya selling imestabilize 129. Nakumbuka Ruto akisema around 125, something like that, right? It hit there.
Okay.
129. Okay?
This is the land of milk and
inflation,
honey.
we are back to 2007 days.
Okay.
My friend,
Mambo iko bamba.
if you are like the Catholic bishops now here coming to say, oh, I don't know what, are they not in Kenya, these
And
Catholic
they say-
bishops?
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Those bishops from the Kenya Catholic bishops should come back home.
Okay.
Because clearly they have left the country.
They don't understand.
They don't get it.
Really?
No, they don't get it.
So the poverty levels in Kenya have gone down considerably, has it?
Well,
There's
yes.
food.
The macroeconomic indicators are showing that
You
we're
asked
heading
the
in that
question that the
direction.
poverty levels have gone down. The answer is there is food in the barn. That's the problem.
Easily
that
accessible
isn't-
and affordable. Okay?
It's like saying, is the sky blue? Then you say, there are cows in the field.
All right.
Whether it's answering the question or not, it's
All
not the
right.
problem.
It's like telling
I'm
me
just
that-
giving you information.
Okay, so I've asked a question like telling me there's money in the bank.
what
So why am I
else
saying
do you
there's no
want to
money?
hear?
Okay, what I'm referring to here is money in the hands of those who need it most, and money in the hands of those who have businesses that we keep being told are shutting down. Money in the hands of those who employ people who are reducing the number of people that they are employing.
Can I answer you? The Kenya shilling remains stable at 129 to the US dollar.
The macroeconomic indicators are pointing and 5.6% growth of the economy this year, among the highest in the world.
All right. So we are saying that when you have one of these highest in the world indicators, then your people should be poorer. People should be losing their jobs constantly. That's a clear sign that everything that the macro thingy which you mentioned has stabilized with the shilling, which has also stabilized, and there's food in the barn and there's money in the bank. So,
look, bro, it doesn't have to make sense.
Interest rates
and interest rates have
have dropped
all-time low from the history of mankind.
2007 days.
Yes, and this is the indicator that people are losing jobs. They don't have enough money to afford to live. So all these things equals this. Is that what you're saying?
I think the issue is there anybody who has contrary data to this?
So we've told you.
Because there's one thing, right? There's one thing to actually push back against it, but push back against it and say, no, inflation is not 2.7%.
Oh, no.
Push back and say,
There's no food
we
in the
don't
barn.
have this number of bags in the barn. Push back and say, no, interest rates are not coming down. Push back and say, if there's anybody with contrary information, then we
You say that the dollar has not been at 129 for the last 90
for
days.
me, it's not an academic exercise where I have to push back with statistics and data. All that we are being told is supposed to equal a better life for Kenyans. And I'm asking the simple question, is there a better life for Kenyans with all that statistics and all that data? The answer is no, it is not. So what are the statistics for?
City. This
They're
is
for
a
making
light.
fire, those sticks.
This is a light.
Yes.
It's at the end of the tunnel. You're only 50 meters to the end of the tunnel.
Are we
As
the right
opposed
tunnel?
to 2022, when you were 50 kilometers to the end of the tunnel and there was a dim light. The light at the end of the tunnel is brighter. The distance to the end of the tunnel is shorter. Stay alive.
Amen.
Get to the end of the tunnel.
We're in different tunnels, clearly.
My brother, but I'm just trying to.
Gadhoni wa Mushomba, MP for Githongori. In which tunnel are you? Are you in this tunnel?
VP. VP.
Fiti.
Fiti. Mimi sisemi poa. Hapana.
Si poa.
First of all, kwanza simunipatie nafasi niwasalimie wale
Carry on,
wanatusikize. Mimi nimewauliza vipi.
Oh, vipi. Okay, sawa.
Unasema poa.
Haikuwa wholesale.
Poleni nimechelewa. It's raining in Nairobi. I live in the constituency kule Githunguri huko Kiambu na nimechelewa kwa traffic. I'm sorry about that.
That's
My
perfectly
sincere
all right.
apologies.
Okay.
Nimepata mkiongea maneno ya vile tumetoboa.
Yeah.
We've succeeded.
Things
are looking
serious something.
Can only get better.
Those numbers you're reading sounds very nice.
But the cabinet was informed.
Are the
of this
figures the
yesterday?
same when it comes to interest rates for those who have taken loans in the commercial banks?
They're reducing.
What are the numbers like right now?
Which numbers?
I mean, what is the interest rate for a commercial loan?
The CBR rate has come down by what? Was it 0.75 basis points? So your banks should also be reducing the interest rate.
Have they
by
reduced?
the same margin? Some have, yes.
You know, I campaigned on the slogan of Pesa Mfukoni. So after all those numbers have been mentioned, how much is in my pocket? That's what matters. How much is available in my pocket? You see, as we speak about those numbers, I'm worried that pensioners are yet to receive their money.
Which
As
pensioners?
Pensioners. Kenyan pensioners. They are owed about
Those who work
22
in government.
billion shillings. They've not been paid. As you read about those numbers, please remember, counties are yet to receive their money. And by the way, huko kwa ma-counties, kumekauka, hakuna pesa.
Because you parliamentarians are refusing to
As you
accept
read
how
those
much they
figures,
want.
allow me to tell you,
Members of the National Assembly are stuck on reducing the amount of money that should go to counties.
as you read those figures, I've told you counties are yet to receive any money.
Yeah.
As you read those figures, pensioners are yet to get their money, about 22 billion shillings. As you read those figures, HELB beneficiaries, students, university students are yet to receive their money. So for me, what matters is what is in the pocket, what is the residue of all those statistical, as City calls them, numbers. What really matters is what is in my handbag and my wallet.
So where's the disconnect?
I mean, we are so technical and we are so theoretical. We need to be practical. We need to be real.
Reality is based on something. There's a reality that's in figures that can be proven tangible, very well calculated. You can see how they are derived. And then there's a reality of the import of what that is. Right? So, for example,
like you said,
if our economy has been growing at over 5%, for the last X number of years, are we arguing against that?
I don't understand.
Are we saying that our economy has not been growing?
Erica, I'm a layman, but a layman interprets it this way. How many people have lost jobs in my neighborhood? That's my layman interpretation.
Absolutely. So should we be asking the question, Weshimiwa, that we're saying here, if you had a family unit, for example, that was in the doldrums 5 years ago, both parents were out of work, they were not able to make anything come in, right? Then as you go along, one gets work, the other one has started has opened a small business because they got some capital injection, right? They were eating 1 meal a day. And at that point, to gather the children, maybe try and pay school fees. Then over time, we see that because of this job and because of this small business that has started, what do we see? We see that now going from 1 meal a day and being in arrears school fees, we now see that the arrears in school fees has reduced. We also see now that instead of eating 1 meal a day, they're eating 2. So what we are saying is, in as much as the numbers have changed in the country, we should be able to see that now people can be eating the 2 meals a day, that the arrears in school fees would be reducing. But we are not seeing that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm a layman. For me, I just want to see the results near me, not on books and on laptops as figures. I just want to ask, how many people in my neighborhoods have lost jobs? I mean, simple.
I keep reminding everybody.
How many hospitals right now? That is why you see the Catholic bishops very annoyed. How many, for example, mission hospitals are yet to be paid their arrears of 200 plus million per hospital by NHIF? As we speak right now, that is why the bishops are very annoyed, because they are the people, they are the trustees of those hospitals. And the hospitals are owed billions by NHIF. So when you tell us there that inflation has gone down, and you're telling us that you have more money in circulation in terms of what you're performing better, where is the disconnect? Where is the money that is supposed to be paid to these hospitals? Where is pensioners' money? Because they are yet to be paid. Hello? Where is help?
You know, Gadani.
Students are still to get money. They
will not sit the exams.
They are not sitting exams, by the way.
The cabinet is saying that there is stability. The first thing that you do with a patient is stabilize
because they live
patient.
In Karen.
Stabilize the patient.
Don't understand what's happening in
I will
Tawara.
remind you again, between 2002 and 2007, when the Mwai Kibaki administration was doing the same kind of thing, we are stabilizing, we are doing this and the other. The then opposition leader, Uhuru Kenyatta, once asked, those things that these people are saying, where is the money in people's pockets?
He asked.
People could not feel it. And many turned up at the ballot in 2007 and said, this Kibaki man, wapi jina ingine, leta ingine, tuweke hiyo. See? Time cometh.
Eric.
Me and you were in the same studio, and you know very well, Eric, that time 2006, 2007. You know very well, Eric, that even as we asked where was the money, that was the time, the period when new job entrants, like let me say new graduates getting new jobs, afforded to import their own cars. That was the boom. That's when Thika Road became smaller for us or congested, because there were so many vehicles imported by new job entrants.
And it's also the same period of time when banks became kiosks.
Yeah.
Where every corner you turned, there were people begging you to take a loan.
And that's how we bought cars. Me and you, Eric, knows very well.
So unakumbuka,
I used to drive what type of a car? Because you know me very well, Eric. And that's the only time we were afforded to go to any bank and got some loans.
Take up loans
and we were competing
cars.
on which car to buy in the newsroom. Because I'm from the newsroom, for those who don't know me well.
Let's take a break.
So let's not talk about figures. Let's talk about reality. Yeah, reality.
You're here so that we talk about.
What do you think that student who is stranded
health.
in the university somewhere is thinking or feeling when we are talking about that the things are okay and they are yet to receive their help rations?
He's thinking there is hope. Let's take a break. 26 minutes to 9. Gadhoni Mushomba is our guest. She's the MP for Githunguri constituency. She's currently still the chairperson of the Constitution Implementation Oversight Committee of the National Assembly.
And the chair of Coffee Caucus.
And the chair of the Coffee Caucus. Siti, send her to a break with the day's proverb.
Yes, that is what I will. Our proverbs for the whole of this week have been from the Republic of Kenya, and the proverbs have been in the Kiswahili language. And you, our esteemed guest, will ask you to tell us what you think the interpretation into English is, and also what you understand the proverb to mean. Lisilo na budi hutendwa.
Lisilo na budi hutendwa.
I'm not alone.
I am floating.
Lisilo na budi.
Can I guess?
Hey.
Perfect.
You are still doing what is not intentional. You're still doing what you didn't intend to do.
Yeah, that's actually very good. So what do you think the proverb, what meaning were they trying to glean from this proverb?
Sometimes you even add weight to some statements that you really don't mean.
You're actually right.
Like now somebody responded to the bishops and telling them that they are not liars, but the bishops are saying you are lying. Lisilo la budi.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
New Life Prayer Center and Church chini ya Pastor Evangelist Ezekiel inakutangazia ibada kubwa ya meza ya Bwana.
Tunapokutana kwa mwili wa Yesu na damu ya Yesu, tunapeana chakula kwa yule mtu wa ndani.
Baraka za kufunga mwaka 2024, kupokea nyota, uponyaji, unabii pamoja na kufunguliwa kabisa. Ibada hii itafanyika tarehe 4 hadi tarehe 15 mwezi wa 12 2024. Mahali ni Mavueni, Mombasa nchini Kenya. Watu wa dini zote, watu wa mataifa yote mnakaribishwa.
The weather with SpiceFM.
A rainy morning in Nairobi, highs of 21 and lows of 15 through Friday. We'll see highs of 22 and lows of 14 in a rainy Nakuru. It's also raining in Nyeri at 17. We'll see highs of 21. 23 will be the high in a mostly sunny Eldoret at 17. We're looking into Mombasa, where the sun is up, going to highs of 31, and we'll see highs of 31 as well in a sunny Malindi. It's 24 and sunny in Kisumu with highs of 30, while Kakamega at 21 is sunny, going to highs of 27. Kampala is partly sunny at 22, we'll see highs of 28, while it's partly sunny at 27 in Dar es Salaam. We'll see highs of 31, partly sunny and warming up slightly in Johannesburg, going to highs of 23 and lows of 14, and it's mostly sunny at 29 in Mogadishu with highs of 32, 14 and sunny in Addis Ababa with highs of 22 and lows of 7. Lagos is sunny at 26, highs of 32, and we'll see highs of 28 in a cloudy Kinshasa at 23.
Get ready for a night of good vibes and great conversations. Tune in as we bring you the hottest tracks, innovative guests.
I do have strong opinions about that question.
And trendy discussions.
Is this thing real, Ama? It's part of your...
No, it's actually true. That will leave you inspired and entertained.
Yes! Don't miss out on the show that's all about you. The thinkers, the creators, and the doers.
Catch us every weekday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. on hashtag After Hours on Spice, where the vibes are always welcoming, the topics are always thought-provoking, and the energy is always inspiring. After Hours on Spice FM, where ideas, music, and creativity collide.
Okay, so what are we looking at? With the rains coming down, it's going to slow things down just a little bit, but we'll still navigate. On the Eastern Bypass, traffic getting into the CBD. Now, that's via the long route, Outer Ring, finding its way to North Airport, and then getting onto the Cabanas Interchange, and then finding its way onto Mombasa Road. That's all going to come in slow, but it's moving in some parts. It's chock-a-blocked in others. It's busy on Kangunda Road this morning. Coming in all the way from Jiro, traffic is moving very slowly, but you'll get there eventually. Folks have chosen that roundabout as the way out. When you get onto the thicker superhighway, you're all right until you get to Survey and then to Muranga Road at the roundabout. It's going to slow down some. Lower Kabete also very busy. Ngong Road is looking good. Langata Road, totally different story as you get to the Galleria Mall and then out towards Uhuru Gardens. It slows down quite some as well. We're still in traffic hour. Let's see what happens as we get through it. A little bit of something happening on the Southern Bypass. We'll keep an eye on that and talk to you. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
20 minutes to 9, our conversation with Gathoniwa Mushomba begins now. She's a certified health education and promotion expert. What's that?
The person who is trained to disseminate information around and educating the masses around health issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The certification was done at AMREF.
Right. So we have issues with the rollout of SHA. And you've talked about the Catholic bishops yesterday were talking about it. They said, the health facilities that are faith-based are among the very many facilities that are in private hands and that also provide the services to Kenyans. And it's a big issue of what's happening there. The health ministry came back and responded and said, in terms of, rolling out SHA, we acknowledge that there have been issues with NHIF and legacy debt, and the government is working towards clearing legacy debt. In Parliament the day before yesterday, Parliament actually took a moment to discuss this SHA rollout and saying we are hearing so many complaints from the ground on what's happening. And the government has been saying, yeah, we are facing teething problems, but it's just, we are correcting as we go, and we're actually tightening the loose nuts and here and there. What's the situation in Githunguri and elsewhere, from what you hear?
First of all, I want to thank the great people of Githunguri for allowing me to be their representative. And by the power of their votes, I wrote a letter to the Speaker of the National Assembly on the 11th of November and asked the Speaker of the National Assembly to adjourn the business of the House so that we can debate the big issue of health, access to health. And fortunately, when I wrote my letter, there is another member who had also written the same letter the previous week, Honorable Dr. Lilian Gogo, MP for Rangwe. And the House Business Committee ruled that they are going to honor the request by the two members. And the adjournment request was granted. And therefore, we adjourned the business of the House. And unfortunately, we adjourned at 5:45 p.m. And that was not our request. Our request was to adjourn the House immediately after the composition. That notwithstanding, we debated. And every other member who spoke about or debated around the issue of SHA and SHIF complained that their voters are not accessing services, health services at the various county and referral hospitals. As a member for Githunguri, I will confidently say that is true because I got a lot of distress calls during recess, when we were on recess, and that is why I wrote the letter to ask for the adjournment of business of the House. And I took another step. I visited about 5 hospitals where my voters referred me to go and witness what's going on. And out of the hospitals that I visited, one is a mission hospital, which confirmed to me that the reason why they had slow uptake of SHA services was because they are owed over 233 million by NHIF. And there was no commitment letter to pay that money because they were saying if she, before she was activated, if there was a letter that was written to us committing that we are migrating and we assure you that we are migrating with your loans and we are going to pay, or the debts we are going to pay. So they were telling us every week they are getting about 600,000 out of the 233 million. NHIF system was releasing to them 600,000. So they told me, do the maths.
Money owed or for services rendered?
Money owed.
Wow, okay.
And the services rendered are still accumulating.
Yeah.
So, and of course, when one hospital opens up right now, every other patient is going to that hospital. So they were saying they have received 4 times the number of clients they used to receive when they opened up services for SHA, even without any commitment to pay. So I can foresee even a bigger problem than we have today.
Let me ask, how did this debt accumulate to that level for this particular hospital?
I may not be able to speak at length because, of course, I don't have access to a lot of information because that's the information I gathered. But that only tells you that when we used to hear, especially between 2022 July to about 2022 December, a whole lot of about 21 billion shillings was lost from NHIF. So I think that is the money that got lost and somehow it was not remitted to the hospitals. So my question, and that is why I woke up very early to come to SpiceFM, I am asking, why did we have to rush to implement SHA, knowing very well that we had a lot of debts that are not honored by NHIF? Why couldn't we first of all sort out our own issues in NHIF, prepare people for migration? I think even when you are in insolvency of a company, you declare to your creditors and your debtors, isn't it? Yeah, you give notice.
You do.
So that your creditors and your debtors can arrange on how they are going to sort out their issues with you. But you just don't crumble something. So anyway, we debated very seriously in the National Assembly. And to my disappointment, the only thing that we could do as a house that is looked upon by every other Kenyan for solutions when there are crises like this is to ask for a kamukunji.
I don't understand.
Kamukunji of whom?
Of MPs.
What's a kamukunji?
A kamukunji is a small meeting outside the standing orders of Parliament to go and have a conversation and invite visitors who can come and clarify issues, not officially. That's why it's called kamukunji.
It's informal.
Without Hansard, without
off the record.
Off the record, thank you. So the best we could have done as members of Parliament, after I have written this letter and another member has written this letter, indicating the interest generated by members of public, is to call a kamukunji and call that minister in charge of health, call that PS in charge of health, call that person in charge of SHA, call that person in charge of SHE to come and talk to MPs. And I'm sure you saw my ex-post and I said calling a kamukunji for MPs does not sort out the problem.
But that doesn't
because even these MPs don't rely on this SHE and SHA.
Sorry,
they have their medical covers.
But by the time Parliament is asking, because it is Parliament who has requested this kamukunji, it is not somebody else. By the time Parliament is requesting that somebody from outside, SHA, SHE, whatever, comes to explain what is going on, does that not denote that in the very beginning, when it was being passed, then there was not an understanding of what was actually being passed?
Definitely, that's the indication that even the members who voted yes didn't know what they were voting. I mean, how do you pass a law and then along the way you realize it's not working and you're the one who passed the law, and then you go public saying, let us have a kamukunji so that we can know what is going on?
June 25th. Remember June 25th?
Yes.
What happened?
That happened.
The Kenyans who came to Parliament and said, you guys go. We can parliament ourselves. I think these are some of the reasons why. Because Parliament last year passed 4 laws.
Yeah, in a hurry.
4 laws on health. And they were hurried through Parliament. One of those laws was the Social Health Authority Act, which repeals the NHIF Act and says SHA shall take over assets and liabilities of NHIF. And then we shall have this transition. Throughout that period of transition, which gave NHIF 1 year to continue living after the law became assented to, throughout that period, Parliament, which has a standing departmental committee on health, what are those things that you say and do that they do, doing their things with their twiddling their thumbs?
Twiddling their thumbs, and we can even say just picking their noses.
Those ones. It clearly appears that that's what was happening, because how many questions did this committee and entire Parliament ask to the Ministry of Health, we have a sunset date for NHIF.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a register of all the assets of NHIF? Do we have a register of all the liabilities of NHIF? What happens to these liabilities? Was that matter ever addressed in Parliament? I don't remember.
I can tell you. The other day I said I'm one of those members of Parliament that are very embarrassed to be associated with the 13th Parliament. And I keep saying that. Because some of the things that we are doing in that Parliament are so, let me use the word hazardous, to the livelihoods of people, of Kenyan people. And we look like we no longer care. You know why I say that? Because I don't understand how you make a law and you give a choir of affirmation, and then you are the same person who is complaining that this is not functional or it is not working. And then all you can do after even the uproar from members of public is to call a kamukunji. Does my mother in the village care what I do in that kamukunji? Do they even publish what we discuss in those kamukunjis? We were bringing this issue on the floor of the House so that we can have a resolution that is going to enable that patient who is yet to access dialysis. Now that we did a kamukunji, and those guys came and did all what they said, and who cared? Who cared to take the resolutions and make sure they are implemented?
The kamukunji has happened?
Yeah, it did. It did. Do you know that it happened yesterday?
Oh, no.
It did.
And then?
The kamukunji happened.
Who came?
The minister sent somebody there. The PS was there, coming to tell us what's going on. I refused to attend, by the way.
And then what's
because I found like it was a waste of time.
What's the output of that kamukunji?
I don't even know, because it's not published today in today's paper. You did not talk about it in your news.
No.
So it's a way of killing my request, my prayer.
But
I wrote a very lengthy letter. By the way, it was a very lengthy letter. Since I know you love reading, it was a very lengthy letter, citing the story, the journey from the day we brought about the Chief and the SHA Act, citing what has been happening and going down to what is happening in the corridors of most hospitals, citing even the 19th July 2024 High Court declaration, and asking the Speaker, now that this has happened, from Parliament to State House to signing the Act, to implementation of the Act, to the courts, and back to the public, we need as Parliament to give a resolution, a way forward. We need to jumpstart the process because there is a problem. The only solution we could have we gave was, let us do a kamukunji.
Let me ask. Okay, so at the point...
And people keep bashing members of Parliament at, this Parliament doesn't function,
well, it doesn't.
People don't work. Some of us work, and that is why we wake up in the morning to come to SpiceFM, for people to know what is going on, for people to understand what frustrations we are going on, Eric.
Let me ask a question.
Please ask.
When Parliament now resolved, let's hold a kamukunji, what was the mandate of the kamukunji? I think it was given to the chair of the Health Committee, Dr. Pukose.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Convene a kamukunji.
No, kamukunji is never convened by a member. It is convened by the Speaker.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the kamukunji then is happening. What was expected to be the result of that? Were they supposed to come and report back to the House?
Normally, kamukunji is held to deal with matters that involve or touches on members of Parliament's welfare. Some knowledge of some information that members need to know or to understand without the formality of proceedings of the House. You understand?
So
like, for example, when members feel like their food is not well done, we do a kamukunji to go and discuss, because we can't discuss that on the platform of Parliament. You understand? On record. So when you take an official subject like health stalemate, and you make it so simplified to a welfare of members. You understand? You reduce an issue that is so formal to informal.
What I'm asking,
to me, I feel like we are not fair to the people of Kenya.
What I'm asking is, when the proposal to hold a kamukunji was tabled, and members voted and said, yes, let's do a kamukunji, what was their thinking? was a thinking, and give me a moment here, was a thinking, let's have an informal session. Let's invite all these people who are responsible. And let's also tell the health committee that all of us are actually going to have and help you do this particular job. And then the health committee, you shall come with recommendations. As requested by Gadoni here, we want action. So this Kamukunji, having galvanized and gathered a lot of information from everybody, will then come with...
No. The outcome of Kamukunji, Eric,
what was
is
this
to
particular
enable
Kamukunji?
members to understand SHIF and SHA's responsibility and functionalities, so that when they go on microphone in funerals and in churches,
they can educate the people.
They can tell their voters what's going on. That was the essence of the Kamukunji. But my intention of writing the letter to adjourn the House was not basically to educate MPs, because they're the ones who passed the law. My intention was for the government of Kenya through the Ministry of Health to understand that the representative of the people still feel there's much to be done, so that we can actually come in and say, can we halt this whole migration first? Can we revert maybe to the previous program of NHIF until we sort out these mission hospitals, until we do what we are calling population means evaluation, until the system, this data system, shared data system that keeps on falling is stable, until the government of Kenya is able to fund SHA adequately. Until we have done all the preparations, we can now fully migrate. That was my intention.
Right. Makes sense.
But it was reduced to a members' welfare discussion.
Let's get to understand SHIF so we can go and educate
our people.
So they can
Since when
register.
did a member of parliament become the educator?
The question I want to ask Mheshimiwa is this. I have actually read.
You've read my letter?
Yes, I have.
Is it heavy?
It goes into very good details. There are details that I particularly liked. When you quoted Articles 26, 28, and 43, we're talking about the right to life, the right to human dignity, and the right to healthcare. Okay. Sometimes when things are mentioned, one doesn't understand on what you are anchoring your particular discussion. And nothing surpasses this. And the crafters of the Constitution understood this well when they wrote these things and when they gave the citizens of this country these rights. And what we're discussing here is the absolute and sheer abrogation of these rights, even as we watch. It's unfolding before our very eyes. Let me ask this question, Mheshimiwa. When it comes to decisions that are made, decisions that relate to the welfare and the lives of the citizens of this country, when you talk among yourselves, do you have a sense that your colleagues understand what they are doing? Do they understand the import of the decisions they are making and the impact it has on the people they represent?
I don't think most members of parliament do understand, because sometimes I find ourselves so blind in lawmaking that we make laws that are so difficult to implement at the detriment of our people's livelihood. For example, I've seen a lot of uproar, members of public complaining about the selling of national assets, for example. The selling of JKIA and many other assets that have been enlisted under the privatization program. But we are the people who made the law, the Privatization Act. And we made it in a record of less than 2 weeks. The same members of parliament who voted yes for that law, I have seen them on newspapers, I have seen them on television, complaining that our public assets are being sold. So what does that tell you? It tells you that some members just walk in the house, don't read anything, and just asks.
Some don't walk in the house.
What are we voting for? And they just vote. How do you pass a law and take away the power of parliament on oversighting what is going to be sold from national as a national asset? You take away the power of parliament to ask questions. Who is buying? Why are we selling? What value are we selling? Who is the person actually buying the asset? Because we took all that power. The only power we left Parliament with is the power of ratification.
So Parliament took away powers.
And that power of ratification has a condition that if a ratification program is brought to Parliament and it is not passed in a record of 2 weeks, Cabinet is free to implement without even parliamentary ratification.
So essentially you're saying that Parliament emasculated itself.
Oh, yeah.
In broad daylight.
We have taken away the power of Parliament and given it
to the
on a silver platter to the executive.
Sounds like big problems, Mheshimiwa.
A very big problem. I was in the previous Parliament, the 12th Parliament. I have been very active on parliamentary matters even before I was elected, but I've never seen a Parliament like that in the Parliament. I'm sorry. I am very sorry, but that's the truth. So look at this situation now. She and Sha and Da is still. Why are you laughing?
Well, because the country.
It's still a matrix of problems that we are yet to unravel.
You're saying that the.
What do you want to do next in 30 seconds?
What I want to do next is what I've done this morning. I have done my bit as a member of Parliament. I am defeated to that level I've explained. I want members of public now to do what they think is right for them.
All right.
Because Parliament has failed them.
Honorable Mushamba, MP Githunguri constituency, certified health education and promotion expert, chair of the Committee on Constitution Implementation Oversight Committee,
you are right.
Chair of the Coffee Caucus.
Yes.
And you're losing, which one are you losing soon?
You
wait and see. Let's see.
I hope not to lose any, but even if I lose, I don't lose my power of being a member of Parliament for Githunguri.
Very good. 9 a.m. news time.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Police officers attached to Migosi police station rescued a 20-year-old Nubian man from facing the wrath of an angry mob after he was accused of engaging in robbery activities in Kisumu County. According to police report, a group of angry youth had surrounded Aidan Rajab Abdallah and sought to take matters into their own hands on suspicion of being a thief. A nearby police unit, Sierra crew, spotted the commotion and rushed to his aid. Moments later, the officers managed to restore order by pulling the suspect away from the crowd and locking up in his house. Now, a 24-year-old woman has been arrested for allegedly killing her 29-year-old lover at their home in Southgate Village, Butula Sub-County within Busia County. The suspect, Joyce Atieno Odhiambo, is said to have stabbed Lucas Onyango Odera 7 times using a pair of scissors following a domestic feud. Police officers combed the scene and recovered the pair of scissors, the deceased's clothes and the suspect's clothes, all of which were stained with blood and were kept as exhibits. The suspect was arrested and detained at Butula police station, while the body of the deceased has been taken to Sega Mission Hospital mortuary awaiting a post-mortem. On a sad note again, and a man's body was today discovered in Nyamindi River at Nduma village in Mwea East, Kirinyaga County. According to Nduma villagers led by the village in charge, Gitari Gititu, the body was found by residents whose land brothers the Nyamindi River while they were planting crops as the rain continued in the region. Now, residents speculated that the man could have been a border rider as he had 3 sets of clothes, including a reflector jacket. Now, residents of Cherangany constituency in Trans Nzoia County have urged the area MP Patrick Simiyu to continue delivering to the residents, especially after a report ranked him as being the top most performer. Now, the resident said that unlike his predecessors, Simiyu has improved infrastructure, boosted education and addressed the favoritism during resource allocation and implementation of development projects.
Barabara zote ukiangalia Cherengani zimewekwa maharam, shule basari anapatiana kwa njia inayostahili.
Kusema ukweli kabisa, kwa wajumbe wetu wa Trans Nzoia, hiyo namba moja hajapata kwa ubumbavu, amepata kwa ukweli.
Maoni yangu kwa ranking ambapo imefanyika, siwezi sema ni mzuri na siwezi sema ni vibaya. Ningependelea afanye zaidi. Kwa barabara amefanya vizuri sana. Kwa mashule naye kupeana basi za usafiri ya wanafunzi.
Hata ukiangalia mtu kama Kutunya amekuwa mbunge huko, hajafanya vile Nyesemeo amefanya. Semeo anajunga jamii sote.
Na tumempea tu miaka 2 kidogo. Tukimpea pia nafasi nyingine atafanya kazi kubwa sana. Lakini kazi ile amefanya inashinda wale wabunge wamekuwa kwa miaka 15 zile zimepita.
And the largest coral ever recorded has been found by scientists in the Southwest Pacific Ocean. The mega coral, which is a collection of many connected tiny creatures that together form one organism rather than a reef, could be more than 300 years old. It was found by a geographer working on a National Geographic ship visiting remote parts of the Pacific to see how it's been affected by climate change. Globally, coral is facing severe pressure as oceans warm with climate change. Now, a senior Lebanese official has signaled that Hezbollah is ready to pull its forces away from the Lebanese-Israeli border in any ceasefire, whilst rejecting Israel's demand for freedom to act against the Iran-backed group in the future. Pressing its offensive against Hezbollah, Israel launched airstrikes in Beirut's southern suburbs for a third consecutive day, leveling more buildings in the area of the Lebanese capital controlled by the group. Ali Hassan Khalil said Lebanon was ready to precisely implement a UN Security Council resolution that ended a 2006 war between Israel and Hezbollah. Its terms require Hezbollah to remove fighters and weapons from areas between the border and the Litani River, which lies about 30 kilometers from Lebanon's southern border. Tomorrow Sports and Harambee Stars head coach Engin Firat says the boys are mentally prepared to smash Zimbabwe at the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers today. Firat says the boys will have a good chance should they align tactically and physically. He insists that they'll do everything in their power to win. Kenya got off to a solid start, gleaning 3 points from their opening 2 games in September against Zimbabwe and Namibia, but they lost back-to-back against the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, who thrashed them 4-1 in Douala before condemning them to a further 1-0 defeat in Nambole, Uganda. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Asseto. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Na hii mambo utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, so where are we at? A few minutes after 9 o'clock. Traffic still continues in the city. Take a quick look at what was coming off of the Eastern Bypass, where traffic was significantly heavy. And also then coming in from the Embakasi Loop still continues. Outer Ring, in and outbound, at least at that junction. Just a little bit crazy. On Jago Road going towards Landis is not an issue. There's open roads. They're moving very freely. Traffic right around Survey coming off of Thika Superhighway is what is busiest right about now. Kangunda Road continues with traffic, and Lower Kabete into Spring Valley is also pretty busy. A quick look at Waiyaki Way, not doing too badly. It's moving generally, so we're all right. And on Ngong Road as well. Magadi Road busy coming in. From Langata Road out towards the city then. We'll have bits and bobs of traffic here, but all manageable. We shall keep an eye on things. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's 8 minutes after 9, on to the final hour of Kenya's biggest conversation this week. We thank you very much for keeping it locked. And as we continue thanking you very much for keeping it locked, we continue advising you as well to go look out and check out Taifa Pension Fund on their website and see what it does. So Taifa Pension Fund is start thinking about your retirement, and also you're just preparing yourself, ahead of time for everything else. Take your pension, take it here to the largest, fastest growing fund administered by Kenya's largest pension fund administrator, that is CPF Financial Services. It has over 200,000 unique employers. It has more than 500,000 members on it. They're effective and transparent. Optimum interest rates are guaranteed. Claims settled within 14 days. This is the best pension fund that you can think of. Taifa Pension Fund, right? As we have got into our next conversation, the holidays are here. Children are at home. From 1, 2, 3 walifunga shule, sindio?
Yes.
From 4 ndio wanamalizia exam alafu kuja funga shule. They'll be adults. Wezi ambia mambo mengi. We've gone through it. We even burnt the books. Yes, finishing our exams. What are you saying? We'll have a conversation about then how they come and how they behave during the holidays. As they do that, Ndu,
yes,
25,000 shillings should be going now to somebody today, courtesy of Standard Bank.
Indeed. Kenya's number one.
Kenya's
number one private bank is saying, you know what? The things that we talk about, the elements that we say are going to help you succeed in your financial journey, living, planning wisely, living joyfully, banking wisely, and, creating a legacy. Tell us about how those things have come true as you open your Stanbic account, or as you have used your Stanbic account in the past. Tell us that. The most compelling, 25,000 shillings could be yours today. What you need to do is send us a little bit of that information and send that to us on our socials. Direct message, of course, and it could be you walking away with 25,000 shillings by the top of the hour.
Like that.
Like that.
Sindio, mambo ni fast like that. Mambo ni live. Sindio. Nicole Molly Abeka is a youth advocate and for adolescent health and rights, and she's our guest. And she's here alongside Hamisi Said Mwambonze, who is a parent and also somebody who campaigns against sexual and gender-based violence. Hamisi, Nicole, good morning.
Good morning.
Karibuni sana to Kenya's biggest conversation. As a hot seat of the situation. How does it feel, Nicole?
Feels good.
You're easy, you're relaxed. Right? Ati, you're an advocate and adolescent for adolescents and health rights. What does that mean?
An advocate for sexual reproductive health and rights is someone who advocates for rights, sexual rights, is someone who advocates for access to sexual reproductive health rights information, advocating for comprehensive sexual information, someone who advocates for empowering young people or young adolescents on matters sex. Yes.
So someone who advocates for sex rights for adolescents. Someone may just pick that bit. So just clarify. Are you advocating that that adolescents have a right?
No. What are these rights?
Yes. Rights of consent. The age of consent in Kenya is 18. So a child, we consider people under the age of 18 as children. So as a child, you don't have the right to consent. So you should not engage in sexual activities. And when someone forces you to engage in sexual activities, you know that you have a right to report this. You know that you have a right to seek justice. So when you're talking about sexual rights, we're actually telling you that you have a right to say no when there is need. Yes.
Right, I get it. Hamisi, you also involved in campaigning and creating a lot of awareness about sexual and gender-based violence. And you're a parent yourself.
Yes.
So how do you do this?
First of all, I'm a parent and I'm also a CHP, community health promoter, from my area. So I do these campaigns through my households, through chiefs barazas. We do have, sometimes we have meetings with youth groups. So I do go and advocate for that sex education there. That is what I do.
Okay.
Yes.
So karibuni sana. The first thing that we're going to do is we'll welcome you with the day's proverb. The job that you have is to listen to the proverb and City, do what?
First, you will interpret the proverb from the language of Kiswahili to the language of English. Then you will tell us what you think the proverb means. Our proverbs for this week are from the Republic of Kenya, and they're in Kiswahili. Now the proverb, lisilo na budi hutendwa.
Lisilo na budi hutendwa. Nicole, you go first.
Lisilo na budi hutendwa.
Yes, in English?
Hey.
In English it's hey. Okay, that's English.
Lisilo na budi hutendwa. Kiswahili is a bit challenging.
Why don't you just take a wild guess?
Lisilo na budi, something that does not have much importance, or hutendwa.
Go on.
Should be done or is done.
You've taken, yes, and you've proceeded good.
Lisilo na budi hutendwa. It's like where there's no road, there must be a road.
Spot on.
No, Hamisi, because that's why Kiswahili na Kimanya.
Yeah, Kiswahili na Kimanya.
And there are very many people who are not getting this thing.
Yes.
What is the direct translation of lisilo na budi?
In Kiswahili, in English.
Yeah, in Kiswahili to English.
Kiswahili to English.
Yes.
Lisilo na budi hutendwa.
Yes.
Yes. Sasa it's like I'm a parent. Do you see that? My child needs a book or school fees. I must do whatever I can to provide that book or the school fees to my daughter or to my son. Yes.
What has to be done has to be done.
Yes.
Or what needs to be done has to be done.
Nicole, you get it?
Yes.
You get it? You get it now? Very good. So what's your translation of that then? What's your interpretation of it?
The meaning, my interpretation is, to us as parents, we are here to educate parents on sex education. Parents, please, sit with your children. The schools have been closed. They're from 2 to 1 to 3 at home. Form 4s are coming home very soon on 22nd. So please have time. Have time with your children. Talk with them confidently. Don't be shy to your daughter or to your son. That's the meaning of that proverb.
Nicole, same for you?
For me, I believe that I'm a comprehensive sexual educator. And as adolescents, adolescence is a stage of curiosity. Like, young people are very curious and they seek exploration. So young parents, because we have young parents, we also have old parents. So parents should take responsibility on teaching their children on comprehensive sexual education. They should give them factual information to help them make informed decision. Because if I tell you that engaging in early sex has consequences, then you'll listen to me. But if I don't tell you this, then you'll engage in sex and you might experience these consequences. Then who will I blame as a parent? So it is parents' responsibility to teach their children on comprehensive sexual education. Yes.
How do you think that's currently happening? How do you think parents are talking to their children about sex and sexual behavior right now? How is it happening? Before we even get to how does it make young people feel, how is it happening from what you know?
From what I know, growing up in a household full of girls, my mom was very open with us. She created a safe space for us to converse about such things, because we have we are 3 girls in our home. So like she taught us on the importance of using protection if at all you are engaging in sexual activities. But the main thing she advocated for was abstinence. But a lot of parents, I don't think they talk about sex with their children, comprehensive sexuality education with their children, majorly because of cultural norms, which find conversations around sex as a taboo. They think that when you're talking about comprehensive sexuality education, we are teaching young people to engage in early sexual activities, but that is contrary to the point. When we talk about comprehensive sexuality education, we are empowering young women or young girls, young boys to take charge of their lives. We are telling them that they have rights. We are telling them that they can take control of their body autonomy. And it also empowers them to make right decisions. Yes.
How should parents be talking to young people? Because the first one was, how are they talking to young people? Mm-hmm. And I think just based on what young people may say, they feel as though, you know what, if you're a little bit more open with me, then maybe I would have more information and I would make better decisions. Mm-hmm. How should parents be talking to young people about sex and sexual behavior?
First, to me, parents must be friends to their sons and daughters, first and foremost, so that they can open to their daughters and sons, the parents, even the guardians, even the community. Because when we grew up, we were community-led children. A parent could not see somebody's daughter being harassed or being taken out of the way by somebody and let her or he do that thing. He or she could take the advantage of the parent and stop that habit. So the parent first, they have to be friends. They have to become friends with their children. So from there, they'll sit and discuss and get and listen to the children to come out with each and everything that they have on matters of sex.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that why people have been so nervous? Because this year, like any other year, school closed, right?
Yes.
People are going to finish exams next week, and then they'll be at home for a month plus. But interestingly enough, at the beginning of the holidays, at the beginning of end of October, we started seeing articles and people were saying, oh, school is going to be closed for 2 months. What are we going to do? And I thought to myself, is it the first time? School closed for 2 months last year, did it not? It closed for 2 months the year before that, did it not?
And they said the same things.
And they said the same thing. So what is it that we suddenly feel that now when people are at home, they're going to start exploring the unexplorables and start discussing the undiscussables? Where is that fear coming from? That now because they're at home for 2 months, there's nobody to engage them, there's nothing to do, and then now you start getting involved in the things that you ought not to? Why are we so nervous?
As you all know, an idle mind is a breeding ground for risky behaviors. And when the children are at home, they have a lot of free time. Like they have so much time and they have nothing to do. And I think what's causing the alarm is the statistics that recently came out about 41% of the new HIV infections in Kenya are of young people aged 15 to 35, and about 18% of that are young people aged 15 to 24 years old. So parents are concerned if most of the new infections are of young people, then what are our children doing? Are they going to engage in sex? Are they going to engage in sexual activities and get this disease? What should we do to curb this disaster? And also the rising issues on femicide. You've seen that young girls, young women aged 19, aged 21 their dead bodies are being found lying around in forests and everywhere. So parents are concerned. How are we going to keep our children safe from these things that are happening? So that is what is raising the concern mostly at this time.
Okay, so help me out here, because obviously you operate in these spaces. Are we saying that today everybody who was involved in what are kids studying in up to class 8 now? Science, biology, whatever. And then we get to high school, you're doing the biology, Kiswahili. Are we saying that you, in that moment as well, that young people have sex on the brain. And then now when you get out of school, now it is pro max and it needs to be curtailed. Is that what we're saying? That we've really become so overly sexualized that something needs to be done about it? Are we at a problem place?
Yes, we have a problem there. It's not only the ones who are coming from school, there are also dropouts from school. There is a lot of poverty in our setups. There are so many drugs, alcohols in our setups. So, as we see now, and as we sit here right up now, there were demolitions, there were floods. Like where I come from, the floods made life to be so hard, seriously, plus the demolitions. So there are so many dropouts from school. There are so many young ones who are very vulnerable with their families, their fathers and mothers divorced. There are so many divorces. So you see the young ones who are coming from school and the ones who are still at the community are seeing sex as a normal thing. Because it is now being practiced by the young age. It is in the social media. They can access it. So it's up to the parents, the church leaders and the Muslim leaders, all the religious leaders, to come together, the administration, non-governmental organizations, to assist these children, plus their families, all the fathers and mothers, to curb this menace of sex.
You know?
Yes.
It's not that many parents don't try, right? I mean, you engage with parents all the time.
Yes.
It's not that they do not want to, but sometimes they're not able to. What is it that prevents parents from having these conversations with their children, particularly their adolescent children?
There's culture, and there's a religion there. Yes. Culture and religion.
You know about them?
Yes.
Sorry.
As I said earlier, cultural norms, we have taboos around talking about topics around sex. It is a taboo to talk to your children. Some cultures believe that it is a taboo to talk to your children about sex, and it is a taboo to talk to your children about contraceptives, and it is a taboo to talk to your children about relationships. So that is what is preventing parents from talking to their children.
You know, the fear of adolescents contracting sexually transmitted diseases or HIV, that has been with us from the time we understood what HIV was. That the adolescents and those who are in that bracket, that age bracket of adolescents, have often carried the burden of the prevalence is also a constant. But what perhaps not mentioned is that the prevalence of HIV has actually gone down in this country. You talk about 1996 was at around 10%. We're talking about 4.3% now. However, when one talks of risky behavior, one must understand that we are in the information age and that it is very easy for young people to get information that previously one would not easily access. And that's where your point comes in, because you have time on your hands and you have access to this information. There's a lot you'll explore. There is a lot that you'll be able to do with that information. But the same gadgets that we fear will give the adolescents information that may be harmful to them is the same gadget that can actually be very useful if utilized properly. Now, when one talks of this age, what then must parents do to ensure that the time is utilized well? We understand parents are struggling right now, and the issue of children going to school is a problem. The children staying at home is a problem. What must parents do? Or let me ask a different question. What would the young people want the parents to do? Because that is perhaps a more pertinent question. Because they're the ones who are on holiday. What would they like to see the parents doing for them so that they can occupy their times well?
As a young person, speaking on behalf of young people, what they'd want their parents to do, I believe, if we engage them in meaningful activities, like maybe taking them to theater schools or just taking them to activities that will help them grow mentally, like enrolling them in maybe leadership classes and things like that will help curb this idle time, because now they have a lot of time on their hands doing nothing. So when you involve them in such activities, they don't have as much time. And also, we've talked about the information age, where we have information on the internet. I believe parents should be able to monitor their children's online presence, because majority of the time you scroll through TikTok and you find so many things that do not align with our morals and our beliefs. We find around 9, 10 or around midnight, people are engaging in very I'd call them unethical things on the internet, and our children are exposed to this. So when you monitor their online presence, for example, young people aged 15 to 19, you should tell them you are able to use your phone from this time to this time to do these particular things, because we, as he has said, we get information online. Sometimes you Google search something and you get the answer to it, meaning technology is very important, but technology is also very risky. And when you give your phone to a child without monitoring what they're doing with this phone, then you're misleading them, because they will get all sorts of information that sometimes may lead them astray. And majority of the time you find that the information online is very misleading. And we also have a lot of peer pressure online, because you find, young girls are going on vacation, they're talking about mubabas. This is a lot of peer pressure, and because someone is poor and because of poverty, now they're using transactional sex to cater for their needs. So I feel like parents should make sure that they monitor their children's online presence and engage them in meaningful activities. Yes.
Let's take a break. It's 9:30. We're having a conversation today. So school holiday season is here with us. What's the role of parents in shaping teenagers' views on sex during the holiday break? Nicole Molly-Abeka is a youth advocate for sexual reproductive health rights for adolescents. Hamisi Said Mwambodze is a parent and community health promoter, and also somebody who is a very big campaigner against sexual and gender-based violence. As we go into the break, there's something called private banking by Standard Bank, Kenya's #1 bank for private banking.
Exactly.
And we've been saying that we want to give somebody 25,000 shillings straight into their account.
Absolutely. So we asked you guys talk about the different ways in which those 4 elements that Stanbic talks about when it does come to your private banking. And this morning, Anastella Mwago has said legacy, that would like to be associated with that of becoming a great entrepreneur in real estate by joining Stanbic Bank Private Banking. I can acquire that legacy. There are various means of making that legacy. I'm talking about investing wisely, where you get investment solutions to support financial growth. Stanbic has local and offshore banking, and my well-being is catered to via planning wisely.
Indeed. So think private banking, think Stanbic Bank. 29 to 10. Back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Get ready for a night of good vibes and great conversations. Tune in as we bring you the hottest tracks, innovative guests.
I do have strong opinions about that question.
And trendy discussions.
Is this thing real, Amma? It's part of your...
No, it's actually true. That will leave you inspired and entertained.
Yes, don't miss out on the show that's all about you, the thinkers, the creators, and the doers.
Catch us every weekday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. on #After Hours on Spice, where the vibes are always welcoming, the topics are always thought-provoking, and the energy is always inspiring. After Hours on SpiceFM, where ideas, music, and creativity collide.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
New Life Press Centered Church chini ya Pastor Evangelist Ezekiel inakutangazia ibada kubwa ya meza ya Bwana.
Tunapokutana kwa mwili wa Yesu na damu ya Yesu, tunapeana chakula kwa yule mtu wa ndani.
Baraka za kufunga mwaka 2024, kupokea nyota, uponyaji, unabii pamoja na kufunguliwa kabisa. Ibada hii itafanyika tarehe 4 hadi tarehe 15 mwezi wa 12 2024. Mahali ni Mavueni, Mombasa nchini Kenya. Watu wa dini zote, watu wa mataifa yote mnakaribishwa.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Light rain in Nairobi, currently 18 degrees. We'll see highs of 21 and lows of 15. It's also raining at 18 in Nakuru with highs of 22, and it's cloudy at 18 in Nyeri with highs of 21 and lows of 14. It's a partly sunny day now after the slight rains this morning in Eldoret, highs of 24 and lows of 14. And we're looking into a partly sunny Mombasa at 27 and partly sunny Malindi at 29. It's 26 and sunny in Kisumu with highs of 30, and we'll see highs of 27 in a partly sunny Kakamega at 24. It's mostly cloudy at 23 in Kampala with highs of 28, while Dar es Salaam is at 28 and partly sunny. We'll see highs of 31 through Friday. 16 and partly sunny in Johannesburg with highs of 24, and Mogadishu is sunny at 30 with highs of 32. Addis Ababa at 17 is sunny, going to highs of 22 and lows of 7. Mostly sunny at 26 in Lagos with highs of 32, and it's raining in Kinshasa, currently at 24, going to highs of 28. Friday afternoon, sunny in Beijing at 13. It's cloudy at 8 in Paris, going to highs of 11, while it's 7 and cloudy in London, going to highs of 11 as well. We'll round things out in New York, inching closer to Friday. We'll see highs of 14 and lows of 6.
Is a child who can't wait to play. A child who can go wild playing games. And even wilder just talking about the game. A child who seriously cares about their friends and takes their fun more seriously. Bring out all the fun, all the chaos on all the sports, local and international, with the greatest of all sports friends.
No. Liverpool's problem is just winning. It's a Republican Party problem. Let me tell you, clean sweep. You do the Senate, you do the Congress, and plus you get the presidency. That's Liverpool. And by the way, we wear red, just like the Republicans. And you also speak nonsense.
The Gooks, Carol Ruto, Kenny Githinji, and the great Roy Karuhise make their return on the playground. This Saturday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. on SpiceFM 94.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Our conversation continues with Hamisi Said Mwambodze, who's a parent, a community health promoter, and a campaigner against sexual and gender-based violence. Nicole Moliabeka, youth advocate for sexual and reproductive health rights. There are guests. What's the role of parents in shaping teenagers' views on sex during the holiday break? As we're going to the break, Nicole, you said what you think parents should be doing is be more proactive, like continuously monitor what your children are consuming on the internet, and also limit the time that they have on the internet, right? And also other roles that they should play. Hamisi, what do you think parents, the youth, would like the parents to do? Because that's a question that City asked. What do the youth feel from your interaction with them that the parents should do?
From my interaction with the youth wants their parents to listen to them rather than the parents
to tell them.
That is the generation we're having now.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said earlier, the parents should listen to their sons and daughters very, very well. After listening to them, the discussion will start from there. And they have to be good friends. The parents should be friends to their sons and daughters.
What is the mark of a good friendly parent? When a youth comes and tells me...
friendly listening parent.
Good friendly listening. When this adolescent is speaking to the parent, and they're saying, this is what I'd like to do.
Yes.
I'd like to go out with my friends,
yes.
Right? For example, I have actually a friend that who had this kind of... So the son was like, I want to go out. I want to hang out with my friends, Saturday night, just go, chill. And then we'll be back home by midnight. Well, what's bringing? I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to do all those things. Let me just go out. So their expectation is that you'll say yes.
Yes.
And if you say no, then you have not listened.
Yes.
So how should you respond?
So you have to be
as a listening parent.
You have to be a parent. If he tells you, if she tells you she wants to go to the bash, just sit with her or with him. Tell him or her the consequences of that bash. Already the teenager was telling his father he's not going to drink, to smoke. That is just a telling. But surely outside there, is there no smoking or drinking? So you have to create, to be creative to your son or to your daughter with your words, so that he or she can understand you. That's the only way. By beating him or her, it won't help. Abusing her or him, it won't help.
If you say no, then you're not listening and caring. You don't trust me, right?
Yes.
If you say yes,
he's going to be spoiled.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where's the balance?
How do you
here?
balance? Yeah.
Nicole, that's you.
I believe our parents should trust us. When I tell you I am going out, I will be back by 6, I expect you to trust me. Because if you trust me, then I will not want to break this trust, so that next time when I ask to go out, you won't give me the permission. And when you set boundaries with your kids and tell them, okay, I trust you, go, but then come back home before 7. And you don't incorporate, or don't go out, don't drink. When you tell them go out, do what you think is responsible, and come back home by the time you've said you'll come back home. I believe most young people will actually do that. But when you tell them, no, you can't go, majority of the time your children sneak out of the house without you knowing, and they will engage in that thing that you do not want them to engage, because in their mind they're like, what is this thing that my parent really does not want me to engage in? How will I feel when I do it? Because people tend to do what they're not supposed to do. When they're told, don't do this,
that's when they want to do it.
That's when they want to do it. And majority of the young people are like that. So when you just tell them, okay, I trust you, go out, but come back at this time and don't do this, this and this, I think they will do it because they don't want to break that trust, so that next time when they ask to go out, you don't give them the permission.
So do you think that when you make the request, when a young person makes a request, for example, do you think that the first answer from a parent should be, yes, go ahead, because I trust you, go ahead? Or should it be that, okay, maybe I'm not so comfortable with it because of 1, 2, 3? What should it be?
A parent should be inquisitive. You should know where your children is going, who your children is hanging out with, what your child is doing. So I think you should ask your child, where are you going, and who are the people who are going to be there, and what exactly is happening there.
So if you're not comfortable as a parent with that situation where they've told you in truth that, okay, this is where I'm going, this is what happens there, etc., etc., if you as a parent are not comfortable with that because you're looking at the long-term protection of your child, should you then be able to say, okay, well, no, I'm not comfortable with you going, and should that be okay?
I think as a parent, you're the figure of authority.
Yes.
And you should decide what your child does. So when you say no, you have to give them reasons why you're saying no. You have to make them understand why you're saying no. And sometimes I feel like we say we should let young people learn from their own mistakes. But sometimes I believe it is not the right thing to do. So, for example, I tell you I'm going to a strip club. It is not appropriate. So you should tell me the dangers, the kind of people I'll find there, and the consequences of going there. And I feel like if I'm a true young person who listens to my parents, I will actually understand and listen to them and stay at home. But sometimes if you just tell them no, I don't want you to go there, you're not going, it does not make sense, because to them it feels like you hate them. Because majority of the young people actually think their parents hate them, while what their parent is doing is just protecting them. So you should learn on how to create safe spaces to address your concerns.
I want to understand
this. Is my concern.
I want to understand this. You mentioned something that I find interesting, that many young people feel that their parents hate them. Okay, now, so what is it that the parents do to elicit this reaction?
sometimes you find that you want to just go and hang out with your friend, and your parent tells you, no, I don't like your friend. And young people believe that they should be able to choose their own friends. So when you tell them no, sometimes you lock them in the house, because some parents actually do that, not all, but some parents actually tell you no. And some parents even put spies, people like in the community, to tell them what your child is doing and what your child is involved in. And sometimes parents really punish their children really hard.
You know, Nicole, outside here. The Sodom and Gomorrah that is happening outside here today.
Thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
Is not a joke.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
It's crazy stuff that's happening. Somebody can come and tell you, Mom, it's a house party. There's no big deal. Instead, we're serving juice and cake.
And these are just my classmates.
These are just my classmates. No big deal.
Yeah.
By the time the sun goes down, and this is a reality. I'm sure, Nicole, you are aware that the things that happen is cause not just for concern, is cause for traumatic shaking of the soul. So folks are saying, if there is even the slightest opportunity that my child will be not even inside there, that their shadow will be at the gate of the neighbor next to that place, I don't want. Not because that child or that young person is a funny character, but because they are aware of the danger and what it could potentially cause. Not that they don't trust their child, but they don't trust the situation and how things have become so terrible. How can we create a balance between the two? And I'll give you an example of a friend of mine called Chika. Crazy. She was crazy. We would leave our houses. Chika, I would never forget, she would wear skirts to the floor.
Yes.
Because her father said, no, my child's leg, somebody who see my child's leg outside can never be my daughter. So Chika would wear long skirts to the floor. By the time we reached the junction, Chika has worn
a miniskirt.
Let them see the leg. After all, what is it?
Party.
I'm telling you.
Come on.
So, where do you create the balance?
What parents don't know is that when they're not with their children, they're not in control of what their children are doing. For example, when you leave high school and go to university, you take a hostel, you're away from your parent. All these things that your parent was telling you not to get involved with. Now you are at liberty of not asking permission, just dressing up and leaving, because you're in your own hostel, you do not have restrictions. And I think this is where parents conversing with their children, giving them accurate information on comprehensive sexuality education, like addressing the triple threat, HIV, early pregnancies, and GBV. When you talk to them, they are able to make informed decisions. This young person is going to know, I've been taught this, this, and this. I've been given information on this, this, and this. And whatever I am going to do, it is wrong or it is right, because you have the information and now you're able to make informed decision. And on the issue of miniskirts, I do it sometimes also.
You wear the long skirt, and when you go outside, you remove it.
I used to do it.
You see what you've done. She's seen the story.
I used to do it. I used to do it before I had like a sit down with my parents and told my parents that you're telling me not to do this, this, and this. But when you're not there, I will do it. So it's either you understand me and let me do it, because at the end of the day, as you've said, your friend leaves the house in a long skirt, reaches the roadside, the long skirt is gone, goes to wherever they want to go, and the parents don't know. So I feel like just ensuring that your child knows that what they're doing has consequences is very important, because at the end of the day, you cannot control what your child does to the T.
But you can so that's interesting. That's very interesting. So the likelihood of you being convinced by the possibility of a terrible consequence is what is going to get you to make a proper decision. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Don't tell me not to do it, but give me the potential consequences, then I can see that, and then I'm likely to
Yes. Okay. Because in the society today, we find that when a young girl puts on a very tiny dress or a very tiny short, they're usually sexualized a lot. And you find that majority of the times it leads to sexual assault.
Yeah.
So when you tell your child, when you dress like this can happen to you. And like you give them examples. Like for example, the daughter of so and so dressed like this and this, went to this place and was sexually assaulted. And when they realize that this is something that actually happens, I think they'll go back, sit down, and they're like, I don't want this to happen to me, because sexual assault is very traumatizing.
Yeah.
Because when you're talking about GBV and sexual GBV, we have like a lot of issues or a lot of cases that we've had recently around sexual GBVs. So like when you give them this information and when you show them that, you know, this person went to this place and was dragged and this happened to them, you know, you instill that fear, but it is not negative fear, it is positive fear, so that when they go there, they are very careful, or they might fear so much to the extent of choosing not to go.
The triple threat is what?
The triple threat is early teenage pregnancies,
right.
HIV and AIDS,
right.
and gender-based violence.
Right. Now, as a parent, Hamisi,
yes,
those things, if you just imagine any of them befalling your child,
yes,
they are seriously traumatizing. Just the thought of it, right? Now, here you are, you're talking to your child, and you are using examples of somebody else's child.
Yes.
Like Nicole is telling us, you do not want to be the one whose child is used as an example for the others. So you're thinking, look, I'm doing everything I can. I'm telling you everything I can. I'm doing all these things. But you know, when you're out there, like you said, I don't have control. When you're out there, I trust you. But in some of these instances, like sexual assault, even you, with your best intention and taking care, you may not have control. Now imagine a parent who's thinking about that, right? Yeah, they went out. It was just a simple, innocent-looking bash. She was served a cocktail of drinks. Kumbe it had been laced, and then this happened. And she comes back and says, you know what? I had done everything. I had done everything right. And yet this happened. And as a result of that, the triple threat is actually here. I got assaulted, I got infected, and I got pregnant. You know, you can't go telling everybody in the community, nilikuwa nimemwambia na tulikuwa tumejaribu. You will be the example.
Yes.
And one of the things that parents do not want is that, because it's a tag on you and your parenting.
So on my side as a parent, I do talk sex issues with my children. I even have condoms in my house, male and female condoms. I do teach them how to use them, because I don't know where they are going to. You see that? He or she is going for a bash, and I know the consequences of the bashes. So mimi huwa niko na hizo vifaa, condom, male condom, female condom, na bado huwa nawaelimisha kuhusu magonjwa, kuhusu vita vya kijinsia. So when somebody feels that they want to go out, have a condom for an emergency. I've not told him or her to go and have sex, but have it for an emergency. That is how I help my children.
You know what I find interesting with our conversations, when it comes to some of these matters, they're sensitive and the attention we give the girl child is correct, because they tend to be they bear the brunt of most of the things that we talk about. But then they're the perpetrators. You see, they don't perpetrate themselves. There are people who are involved in these things, and they tend to be men. Men don't start off as men, they start off as young men, boys. Now, somewhere along the line, the conversation of the consequences is highlighted on what happens to the girls. These perpetrators, because in the absence of the perpetrator, we would not be having this discussion.
Yes.
What do we tell our sons? Because as a father of a daughter, I am aware of the amount of time I spend talking about the things that girls should be careful about.
Yes.
What do we tell our sons?
To be their sisters' keepers. They take them as their sisters. They take them as their sisters.
Do they? You see the question that we were discussing here. Who do you think they listen to in such matters when they're adolescents? You or their peers?
Their peers. But the same peers, when we have a talk with them, we do encourage them to take these young ladies as their sisters, because they come from the same community. They were born there. They know each other very well. But somebody who you meet in school, coming from Eldoret and you are coming from Mombasa, that is another thing.
Hamisi lakini. How then do we have this? Okay, mambo haya yote tumeyazungumza, sio? And then we still have gender-based violence.
What you're forgetting is gender-based violence occurs also to men. Let's not forget that. Majority of the cases we hear about...
How much of it do we hear men being violated and men being harmed by women? How often?
Quite a lot of men are being violated by women. The problem is they are afraid of coming out because watachukuliwa as less men, as less of men. No. When a man comes out and says, my wife abuses me, people in the community will be like, what do you mean you're a man? This is why we do not hear a lot of men coming out.
But if you're in the community and your wife thumps you every day, so people will know. What do you think they don't know? Huh? You hear furniture moving.
They might think you are the one who is fighting her.
There's a point I'm trying to make here. I have heard these stories, and I am not saying that we do not have cases where violence is meted on men. That's not what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay? I am simply saying this, that the cases that we deal with are the ones which are reported. Okay? But even if they're not reported, let's take the view that there are many, as you say, Nicole, and they're not reported. How do we know that there are many and they're not reported?
As a young person working with other young people in the community, I go to marginalized areas a lot and I talk to young people. And when you create safe spaces with young people, it encourages them to come out and tells you what happens. Like, kwa grao ni hivi.
Yeah.
Most young people don't go to the police station. Like, nitakutana na msichana pale anipige, but I will not go to the police station. Why? Because watu wa mtaa wataona mbona mimi ni mwanaume na napigwa.
Wanapigwa kwa sababu gani? What is it that brings about this violence? I'm talking about where the people who actually inflict the harm are women. What brings this about? Because we talk about what men do.
So you're asking, what have those men done to be beaten by the
I'm actually deliberate in the question. What have they done to elicit this beating?
Where?
Sometimes GBV is caused.
I've invested a question that is always asked.
Yeah.
When there's a problem with women, we are told, oh, it's the women who did this. Okay, now, what have these men done?
Sometimes it's not down to what the men have done. Sometimes it's down to how someone has been brought up. Because when you grow up in a situation or in an environment where you see your mother beating your father or your father beating your mother, you will know that, you will grow up knowing that this is the right way to handle issues. Or like when you have a disagreement with your partner, you will know that, oh, I've grown up knowing that when I disagree with my partner and I want them to do a specific thing, I beat them up so that they listen. So I think what causes this gender-based violence is authority. Who is authoritative in the relationship? Power imbalance.
Let me take this discussion to a different level. So if I'm a man and I saw my father beating my mother, then are you saying that I'm then inclined towards looking for a woman who will beat me?
Not really. But the environment... Not really, but... I think
it's a very facetious question. Please spare her. What are you asking? Is it?
The environment we grow in, like, literally shapes who we become majority of the time.
It's not as facetious as it sounds. I'm actually furthering the discussion.
Land it.
What is it that brings about violence, whether it is being meted on men or on women? What is it?
What are the root causes of SGBV?
What is it?
To men or to women?
It doesn't matter. What brings it about?
What brings it about? Sana sana ni majukumu.
Eleza, fafanua tafadhali.
Majukumu. Wanawake maumbile yao waliumbwa sisi wanaume ndio tujukumike. We are the providers. Sasa kuna yale majukumu kama uyatekelezi, mwanamke sana sana, si wote, some wanakukujia juu, na hapo ndio mara nyingi unapata violence inatokea.
Yes, this is a sensitive matter that is best explained in Kiswahili. Yes. In English, you won't quite get the gist of it. What do you think, Nicole?
I feel like gender stereotypes, because there's a lot of gender-based violence, and also lack of empowerment. When we do not empower our women to know when it is right to live an abusive relationship, when we do not empower our men to know when it is right to live an abusive relationship, when we do not teach them on how to identify healthy and unhealthy relationships, that is what causes this issue.
Well said.
Very well said.
Very well said. So kids are on holiday. One line to them, to parents, because we're talking about the role of parents.
Yes.
Speak to parents in one line. What should parents do?
Wazazi wakae chini na wawe na wakati wa kuzungumza na watoto wao. Hiyo ndio njia mwafaka ya kuwasaidia watoto kwa hii holiday peke yake.
Nicole?
Parents should take action, should take responsibility, should have sit-downs and have conversations, factual conversations with their children on issues of SRHR and comprehensive sexual education. And I think parents should also liaise with the teachers, because majority of the time the children are in the teachers' hands. So they should liaise with the teachers to help in disseminating information, accurate information and age-appropriate sexual comprehensive education. Yes.
Very well said. Nicole Molly Abeka is a youth advocate for sexual and reproductive health rights, working on adolescent health and rights. Hamisi Said Mwambodze, parent, community health promoter, and a campaigner against sexual and gender-based violence. So once again, congratulations to who won the 25,000 shillings going into their Stanbic private bank account. That is Anstella Mwago. Very well, very well. Are you looking forward to the next week's winner? Yes, you should be that one who is winning 25,000 shillings. Just keep in touch with us, keep listening to us, and you'll hear all the conversations about Stanbic Bank, private banking, or what private banking is all about, what it means, why it's important, why it's good for you, and why and how you can get in touch with Stanbic Bank so you can open your private banking account. Kenya's biggest conversation takes a break for the weekend. Tomorrow, remember, we're going to the playground.
Absolutely.
Karo Radur, Kiani Gedenji, and the great, he calls himself, Roy Karugize. They'll be here from 2 to 6 p.m. Have a lovely one. It's 10 a.m.
Spice up your life